Chapter 2653. A hidden new family required tens of millions, or even hundreds of millions of expenses every month. Although there was money to buy alchemy materials, how many people were there in the Yu family? Not to mention this orphanage. The two of them went upstairs together. Linny stopped at the door of her room and knocked on it. "Who is it?" Not long after, Xiaoka's tired voice came from inside. On the other hand, Yudake was very excited. His whole body was trembling. Although this voice was unfamiliar, it gave him an inexplicable sense of intimacy. It made him want to immediately push the door open and walk in. Lin Yi also saw Yudake's reaction, patted him on the shoulder, gave him a comforting smile, and then said, "Xiaoke, it's me." Xiaoke opened the door and frowned when she saw Lin Yi. "Why are you here?" "Xiaoke, I... Yudake was so excited that he automatically ignored Xiaoke's attitude towards Lin Yi. He was so nervous that he couldn't speak. "Who are you?" Xiaoke looked strangely at the excited big brother beside Lin Yi. "You know me?" Of course I know you. You're my sister," Yudake said excitedly. Although Xiaoke had grown up, she still looked the same as she did in the photo, so Yudake was sure that this person in front of him was his long-lost sister. "Lin Yi, you brought a psycho?" Xiaoke looked at Lin Yi with black lines on her forehead. "Just who is this person?" "Xiaoke, he's called Yudake. He's your brother." Lin Yi was also embarrassed as he explained to Xiaoke. But it was no wonder, since Yudake was older and could remember things from a young age. Xiaoke, on the other hand, was too young to remember anything about Yudake. "Yudake? My brother?" Xiaoke paused for a moment before answering. He looked at Yudake suspiciously. In Xiaoke's memory, she did have a brother, but she didn't remember much at that time. She didn't remember much about her brother, but she remembered the name Yudake. She did not tell anyone, not even the old director of the orphanage. This also meant that Lin Yi shouldn't have found a random person to deceive her. If he really wanted to deceive her, he would have made up a name called Yudake instead of Yudake. "Yes, Xiaoke, you remembers?" Yudake asked excitedly. "No." Xiaoke shook her head. "But I remember I have a brother, but I can't remember anything related to him." "Come in first." Regardless of whether it was real or not, where did Lin Yi find it? Even Xiaoke couldn't reject him, but she was still suspicious of Dake's background. This was also a precaution against Lin Yi. Lin Yi's sudden visit at night, and he even brought someone who claimed to be her brother. Anyone would be suspicious of this. Lin Yi wanted to enter, but Xiaoke stopped him. She said calmly, "I'm sorry, Lin Yi. I want to talk to him alone."
Okay.
Lin Yi didn't say much. He just nodded and stood at the door. Xiaoke was about to close the door. Although Yudake felt that it wasn't good to shut Lin Yi outside, he thought that Xiaoke wanted to confirm something with him. However, he thought that Yu Xiao wanted to confirm something with him and couldn't let an outsider be present, so he could only apologize to Lin Yi. "Mr. Lin, please wait for a moment. We'll let you in once we confirm your identity."
Okay, it's fine.
Lin Yi smiled. Xiaoke saw that Yudake was so respectful to Lin Yi, and she was a little annoyed. Why was her brother acting like Lin Yi's lackey? In fact, Xiaoke was 80% sure of Yudake's identity. After all, there weren't many people who knew her brother's name. After closing the door, Yudake was a little excited and restrained. He didn't know if he should stand or sit. He looked at Xiaoke's room. Other than a bed, there was only a writing desk. There was only one chair in front of the writing desk. So, Yudake either sat on the chair or the bed. There was no other place to sit. "Please sit." Xiaoke took out a folding chair out of nowhere. She opened it and placed it in front of Yudake. Then, she sat on the chair in front of the writing desk and stared at Yudake. "Are you really my brother?" "Xiaoke, I'm really your brother." Yudake nodded with certainty. "I know you might have doubts, but look at this picture first." Yudake knew that thousands of words couldn't compare to a picture. Although the Photoshop technology was good, no matter how much they Photoshopped, it was impossible to recreate a person's appearance when they were young. Xiaoke looked at Dake as he took out an old-fashioned pocket watch and carefully passed it to her. This kind of thing wasn't common in modern society anymore. Xiaoke quickly took it and opened it.
Huh.
She was a little surprised. The girl in the picture was Xiaoka herself. Xiaoka didn't have this picture, but when she was young, the dean had taken a picture of her. Every child in the orphanage would have a picture of them when they first came to the orphanage. It wasn't for anything else, but it was so that when they grew up and looked for their parents, they would have a proof of what they looked like when they were young. Xiaoka had seen her own picture before, and she looked exactly the same as the girl in the picture. The angle of the two pictures were completely different, so it shouldn't be photoshopped then. The only explanation was that this person in front of her was really her brother. "This is you and me?" Xiaoka asked after a moment of silence. "Yes, this is the only picture we had when we were young. It's also the proof that I've been looking for you all these years." Yu Dake sighed, "But because of some special reasons, I didn't dare to look for you openly." "I'm sorry. No, it's not your fault. Are you really my brother?" Xiaoka was confused. Although she knew that she had a brother, it was only in the depths of her memories. She didn't even have an impression of him. Now that he suddenly appeared in front of her, she couldn't accept it. "Yes, if you don't believe me, there's a small red birthmark on your right foot," Yu Dake said. "Although I could remember things back then, I didn't remember much. This is all I remember." Chapter 2654. Xiaoka didn't suspect anything anymore. She did have a red birthmark on her right foot, and it was very small. Even the dean didn't notice it, and she didn't mention it to anyone else. Lin Yi didn't know about it, and this person in front of her knew about it. He must be her brother. Xiaoka had been an orphan since young, and now that she had a brother, she was both happy and nervous. She raised her head and looked at Yu Dake, but it wasn't easy for her to call him brother. "Xiaoka, I know you still have doubts, but medical technology is so advanced now. We just need to do a DNA test to prove our relationship. If you don't believe me, we can do it tomorrow," Yu Dake said nervously. "Bro." Xiaoka couldn't hold back the excitement in her heart after hearing Dake's words. The word bro came out of her mouth, and her tears fell down. Although she had the old dean's care and the orphanage's children's company, the loneliness of not having a family was especially obvious during the holidays. Xiaoka didn't think that she would finally have a big brother. "Sister?" Yu Dake heard Xiaoka call him, and was extremely excited. You believe me?" "Actually, I believed you from the start." Xiaoka sighed. "It's just that it was too sudden, and I couldn't accept it. Now that I've calmed down, I'm very happy." "Yes, I'm very happy too." Yu Dake nodded heavily. "Tell me about my childhood." Yu Xiao laughed. "What about our parents?" "When we were young." "Our parents?" Yu Dake was silent. He wanted to say something but stopped himself. "What's wrong?" Xiaoka asked curiously after seeing Dake's expression. "There are some things that I don't want you to know. I can bear it myself, and I don't want to burden you." Yu Dake sighed. "I've heard from Mr. Lin that you've shouldered too many responsibilities and burdens for the orphanage. Could it be that our parents were?" Xiaoka was smart, and she'd seen many orphans who'd had their families annihilated, so it was easy for her to link it to herself. "This." Yu Dake sighed helplessly. "I didn't want to say it at first, but I didn't expect you to guess it. Yes, our parents were killed by our enemies, and you and I are lucky to be alive. But my strength is not enough to take revenge, and I don't want you to live in hatred. You just need to understand these things. There's no need to know too much. Okay?" Xiaoka nodded. Since Yu Dake didn't want to talk about it, she wouldn't ask. Her feelings for her parents were much weaker than Yu Dake's, and she didn't have much of an impression of them. Her relationship with the headmaster was even deeper. "Then how did you and Lin Yi meet?" Xiaoka was worried about her brother's relationship with Lin Yi. She knew that Lin Yi was plotting against her, but she couldn't do anything about it. She could only accept it and accept it. Now that her brother was with Lin Yi, and he seemed to listen to Lin Yi, Xiaoka was worried. In fact, Xiaoka was grateful to Lin Yi from the bottom of her heart. If it wasn't for him, she would have to reject all the abandoned babies from all over the country. Xiaoka understood that even if she didn't take them in, other orphanages would take them in, but how many orphanages could afford the expensive treatment? If the treatment was cheap, the parents wouldn't be so cruel as to abandon them. Xiaoka knew that it wouldn't be good for her to keep accepting Lin Yi's help. She might even be forced to do something that would betray the male thief, but she had no other choice. Sometimes, life was like this. Things wouldn't always go according to one's wishes. Xiaoka couldn't help but sigh as she thought about her future with the male thief. Dake didn't notice Xiaoka's helpless expression. He was happily talking about how he got injured at the Hidden House Summit and how Lin Yi saved him. He was filled with gratitude towards Lin Yi. Xiaoka, Mr. Lin is a good person. It's rare to see a good person like him these days. Not only did he help me recover, he's also helping you with the orphanage. He's our savior. As the saying goes, when you receive a drop of kindness from someone, you must repay it with a fountain. So, us siblings must remember this kindness in our hearts for the rest of our lives. No matter what Mr. Lin asks of us, we must do our best. If we can do it, we must do it. Xiaoka listened to her brother's words, and her heart was in a mess. She lowered her head silently, not knowing how to answer her brother. Yes, Lin Yi saved her brother, and he supported the orphanage so much. He didn't owe her anything, but she and her brother owed him. But even so, she didn't have to repay him with her body, did she? If it were any other way, Xiaoka would nod without hesitation, but now, looking at her brother praising Lin Yi nonstop, Xiaoka was a little annoyed. Her hatred for Lin Yi surged up once more. What was it that couldn't be said face to face? Why did she have to get her brother to be a lobbyist? Let her brother keep praising him in front of her? And then she fell for him? What made Xiaoka angry was that Lin Yi clearly liked her, but he didn't admit it. Xiaoka knew Lin Yi's personality a little. He wasn't a very warm-hearted person. Was he an idiot? Why would he keep helping the orphanage? Most of his company's profits went to the orphanage, and yet he was still helping the orphanage every day. Xiaoka really didn't believe that Lin Yi just wanted to help her. It wasn't realistic. Who? Xiaoka didn't want to listen anymore, so she raised her head and changed the topic. Brother, are you married?
Me?
Of course not. Dake shook his head. When I told you about the Hidden House Summit, you didn't seem to have many questions? You know about the practitioners and the hidden houses? Chapter 26:55. What? You're a practitioner too. Outer Sect. Oh, Outer Sect is good. Outer Sect is good. Dake let out a breath of relief, but at the same time, he was shocked. Although he was from the Hidden House he was just a small follower. It wasn't realistic for him to go against the young master of the Hidden House Zhao. You're saying that your orphanage offended the Hidden House Zhao? It's fine, it was Lin Yi who took care of it. Not only did he compensate us with a piece of land, he also gave us a lot of money. Xiaoka sighed. Xiaoka sighed and said, as for what Dake said before, she didn't care and directly ignored it.
Ah?
Yes, those hidden houses are all afraid of Mr. Lin, including our hidden house we don't dare to do anything rash. But Mr. Lin really is a good person. Dake sighed. Sis, do you have a boyfriend? You're not young anymore. Xiaoka didn't know what to say. Did she have a boyfriend? She didn't think so. The male thief didn't respond to her directly, so they were just normal friends. He said that he had a girlfriend, and she didn't know if she still had a chance. So you don't have one either? But that's true. You're busy with the orphanage every day. You don't have time to date. Dake misunderstood, thinking that Xiaoka was too shy to talk about it. After all, she was a girl of her age, and it was fine if she was in university, but it was rare that she didn't have a boyfriend. Yeah. Xiaoka nodded. Dake was right. Xiaoka didn't have the time to be in a relationship, and even with the male thief, it was a coincidence that they met. She didn't push for anything. I think Mr. Lin is pretty good. Why don't you try harder? Dake's eyes lit up. Mr. Lin is helping you for free. I think he might be interested in you. Lin Yi. He has a few girlfriends already, and he doesn't like me either. Xiaoka's face darkened. She had finally changed the topic, but it came back again. It doesn't matter if he has a few girlfriends. It's a normal thing in the cultivation world. I think Mr. Lin is pretty good. He's a genius, and I heard that he can kill Sky-class masters in 1 second. If you follow him, you won't lose anything. Dake's sudden decision was not the kind of unreliable thinking, but he had his own deep meaning. He had to get his revenge sooner or later, and if he failed, he might even drag his sister down with him. He wanted his sister to follow Lin Yi because he wanted her to have a strong backer. At least the hidden world was afraid of Lin Yi now, and who could say that the ancient world wouldn't act according to Lin Yi's whims? If his sister followed Lin Yi now, there would be fewer obstacles for him to get his revenge. It would be better with Lin Yi's help, but without Lin Yi's help, Dake wouldn't have any worries. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said something like this so carelessly. In the cultivation world, it was normal to have multiple wives and concubines. For example, the young master of the hidden house, Yu Tian, had quite a few women, but this wasn't anything new in the hidden house. However, as a brother, Dake didn't want his sister to be someone else's concubine. It was just that this person was Lin Yi, and Dake could accept it. For his sister to have a lifetime of peace, that was why he persuaded her to follow Lin Yi. Xiaoke thought. As expected, her brother was bought over by Lin Yi somehow, and he came here to be his lobbyist. Could it be that Lin Yi wanted her to take the initiative to express her feelings? He wanted her to confess to him? Xiaoke got angrier the more she listened. It's fine if you like me, but you want me to confess to you? What was this, even asking my brother to come here? Sis, just think about it. Mr. Lin is a good person, and if you miss this opportunity, you won't get another one. Dake saw that Xiaoke was silent and thought that she was moved, so he quickly added more strength. Bro. Xiaoke took a deep breath and decided to tell the truth. She wanted to make this clear to her brother. Otherwise, if her brother talked about this every time he came to see her, she would feel annoyed. Dake was startled by Xiaoke's interruption. What's wrong? Bro, actually, I have someone I like. Xiaoke gathered her courage and said, Someone you like? Dake paused and felt a little awkward. He realized that he misunderstood her meaning and messed up the matchmaking process. Luckily, Lin Yi wasn't here, so there was nothing between them. Otherwise, they wouldn't know what to do. Yes, but it's not Lin Yi, Xiaoke said. He's a very caring and attentive man. Oh, then he is. Dake was curious. After all, this was related to his sister's marriage, so naturally, he was very attentive. Tell me? Xiaoke nodded and started talking about her story with the male thief. She'd always wanted to talk to someone, but in the orphanage, the only people she could talk to were the dean and Xiao Ken. Now that she had a brother, she couldn't wait to tell him everything that had happened in the past few years. Speaking of which, it was strange. This was an innate blood relationship. Although Dake didn't look like her at all, Xiaoke was sure that he was her brother. This feeling grew stronger the longer she stayed with Dake. So that's how it is. Dake listened to all the dangers in the tomb, Xiaoke's bravery in the execution field, and the meeting at the auction. It was a soul-stirring story. You guys haven't known each other for a long time, but so many things have happened. No wonder you like him so much. Xiaoke didn't say which tomb it was, and she didn't say it in detail, so Dake didn't connect it to Zhang Liju's tomb. He didn't connect it to Lin Yi either. He was just a follower, and his status wasn't high. Even if he heard rumors about Lin Yi, it was mostly about how Lin Yi killed Sky-class warriors instantly. He didn't know much about the details. Chapter 2656. Brother, you're being a busybody. Forget it, it's a good thing Mr. Lin wasn't here. If he was, it'd be awkward. Dake waved his hand. Brother, you're saying that it wasn't Lin Yi who asked you to tell me? Xiaoke paused, thinking that she was mistaken. No. Why did Mr. Lin ask me to tell you? Dake paused as well, confused. Actually, it's like this. Xiaoke told Dake about how Lin Yi helped her time and time again, and how most of Lin Yi's company's profits were invested into the construction of the orphanage. Brother, if Lin Yi doesn't have feelings for me, I really don't know what he's after. Could it be that he just wants to help me? Dake went silent. Yeah, he wasn't a little kid who had just entered society. These years in the hidden right house, he'd seen too many exchanges of benefits. Naturally, he understood Xiaoke's concerns. Plus, he knew that Lin Yi saved him because Lin Yi wanted to plant a spy in the hidden right house. It was just that Lin Yi's strength had exploded, and he didn't need this spy anymore. No matter what, Udake was grateful to Lin Yi for saving his life, and he didn't care if it was a spy or not. But his sister was right, Lin Yi was too good to the orphanage, too good to the point that it could be described as too good. The only thing that could make Lin Yi scheme was Xiaoka's beauty. Otherwise, why would Lin Yi do it? Was it just to show his love? But there were many ways to show love. There was more than one orphanage nearby. There was one in Donghai, too. Even if it wasn't as big as Xiaoka's, he'd never heard of Lin Yi donating to the orphanage. Brother, tell me, what should I do? Xiaoka was a little lost. Actually, I should repay him with my body, but I have someone else in my heart. Even if I force myself to be with him, I can't guarantee that my body won't cheat, but I can't guarantee that my mind won't cheat. Rather than being unhappy, why not? Xiaoka was a little lost.
She didn't know what to say.
Then why didn't you clarify things with Mr. Lin? Udake asked. Mr. Lin should be a reasonable person, right? You won't force others against their will, right? I did, but he didn't admit it.
He said he didn't like me.
What else could I say? Xiaoka smiled bitterly. But brother, do you believe it? He's only doing this to help me without asking for anything in return. Moreover, he brought you to see me. I guess this is also the reason. I guess he knows that I have someone else in my heart, so he wants to use this method to move me bit by bit, so that I will take the initiative to be with him. That's all I can think of. Man, forget it. If that's the case, I'll talk to Mr. Lin later. I hope he can understand. Udake was helpless, but there was nothing he could do. He didn't want his sister to be unhappy. There were many ways to repay Lin Yi. Marrying him was one, but it wasn't the only way. Udake thought that if he could get his revenge, he'd be Lin Yi's lackey. Xiaoka heard her brother's words and nodded happily. Brother, you're the best. Originally, I wanted Mr. Lin to protect you for the rest of your life, but it seems like it won't work now. Udake lowered his voice. But it's not like there's no other way. In our family, there's a secret art passed down from generation to generation. It's in my hands, and when I bring it to you next time, your bloodline will be able to cultivate as well. At that time, you'll have to cultivate to protect yourself. Although the process will be painful, I need you to have the ability to protect yourself.
Ah?
Xiaoka's eyes widened. She didn't think that her family would have a secret art passed down from generation to generation. But you must secretly cultivate this art. Before you master it, you must not show it to others, in case you get into trouble. Back then, it was because of this art that our family went through a huge change. Udake said carefully. Xiaoka, do you understand? I understand. Xiaoka nodded solemnly. Her breathing was rapid, and her heart was beating fast. She didn't think that her family's secret art would be this important. How powerful was it to be able to bring about trouble? At the same time, Xiaoka was relaxed and happy. If her strength increased by leaps and bounds, would she be able to fly together with the male thief? When she had strength, the way to repay Lin Yi would be to work for him instead of selling her body. And remember, don't tell anyone about this, not even your master. Udake solemnly said, Fortunately, you've only cultivated external martial arts and not internal mental cultivation methods. Otherwise, if you had cultivated other internal mental cultivation methods, you wouldn't be able to cultivate this. And Xiaoka thought that she was lucky. She just remembered why her brother said that she didn't practice spiritual arts, and that it would be better to practice physical arts. So this was the reason. In actuality, the headmaster of the orphanage had spiritual arts as well, but she didn't give it to Xiaoka to practice. She was afraid that Xiaoka's enemies would find out and come after her. After all, Xiaoka often went out and showed herself, and the chances of her being exposed was much higher than the headmaster herself. So, she only taught Xiaoka Qinggong, and it was a good thing for her. Alright, we siblings have talked enough. Mr. Lin is still waiting outside. Let's hurry and let him in. Udake said. Okay. Xiaoka's mood was much better. First, she had a powerful art to practice, and second, her brother promised to tell Lin Yi about her situation. So, she didn't look as gloomy as before. Lin Yi was a gentleman. When Udake and Xiaoka were talking, he didn't eavesdrop. Instead, He stood at the end of the hallway and looked at the night view. When he heard the door open, Linny turned around and walked over. Finished? And Mr. Lin, sorry, it's been a bit long. You didn't wait too long, right? Dake said apologetically. It's fine. You siblings haven't seen each other for a long time. Naturally, you have a lot of things to talk about. It's already very fast. Linny smiled. I was even preparing to practice on the floor. That's good. Mr. Lin, please come in. Dake made a welcoming gesture, letting Linny into the room. Chapter 26:57. With his relationship with Yu Xiaoka, he didn't think it was a big deal. After all, they were even closer at the market. However, Lin Yi's actions made Yu Xiaoka frown. Didn't Lin Yi think of himself as an outsider? How dare he sit on a girl's bed? Didn't he know what taboo was? This is the school's donation check. I just happened to send it over. Lin Yi passed the check to Yu Xiaoka and said, just go to the bank and transfer the money. Thank you. Lin Yi was here to deliver the check, so Yu Xiaoka didn't say much. She took the check and ignored Lin Yi's action of sitting on her bed. Her brother was going to tell him everything soon anyway, so it didn't matter. Haha, I came to give you the check. Since there's nothing else, I'm going back. Dake, do you want to go back with me or stay here? Lin Yi asked. I'll go back with you. Dake had a mission from Yu Xiaoka, and he couldn't go out for too long as he was a guest of the Hidden House Yu. Okay, let's go. Xiaoka, call me anytime if there's anything. Lin Yi said to Yu Xiaoka. Okay. Because the matter was about to be resolved, Yu Xiaoka didn't treat Lin Yi coldly this time. She waved at Lin Yi for the first time. Lin Yi didn't know what was going on. He thought that Yu Xiaoka's period was over and she was back to normal. He went downstairs with Dake and got in the car. Lin Yi asked, how is it? Does Xiaoka believe your identity now? Yes, I do. Dake nodded and said solemnly, thank you for this, Mr. Lin. If it wasn't for Mr. Lin, we wouldn't be able to meet again. We would have been separated by life and death. Hee, that's a little too serious. I'm going to get some clothes for Yao Yao and the others. Are you coming with me? Lin Yi asked. Let's go together, Dake said. It just so happens that I have something to tell Mr. Lin. Okay, then tell me. Lin Yi started the car and drove in the direction of Ocean View Bay Villa area. Mr. Lin, you saved me, let me meet my sister, and even ran around for my sister's orphanage. We will always remember your kindness. One day, we will be at your beck and call, and we will definitely repay you. Dake said solemnly. There's no need for that. I told you it's nothing. Also, Xiaoka's orphanage is a private matter between us. It has nothing to do with you, so you don't have to mind it too much. Lin Yi said nonchalantly. However, Lin Yi's words made Dake's face suddenly change. As expected, Lin Yi liked Xiaoka. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a private matter. It seemed like Xiaoka's guess was right. Thinking of this, Dake couldn't help but sigh. But no matter how difficult it was, he had to say it. Otherwise, he would fail Xiaoka's trust. Thinking of this, Dake braced himself and said, Mr. Lin, do you like my sister? And? Lin Yi paused and didn't know how to answer. Before, Lin Yi really didn't like Xiaoka. He only had a good impression of her, but after Xiaoka went to the execution field, Lin Yi developed feelings for her. Also, at the market, Xiaoka was in Lin Yi's heart, so it would be a joke if he said he didn't like Xiaoka. But to say that he liked her, which identity did he have? Seeing that Lin Yi didn't answer, Dake was even more convinced. He quickly continued, Mr. Lin, actually, my sister has someone she likes. If you like her, then I know that you are our savior, but feelings can't be forced. We will repay you in other ways. And? Someone you like? Who is it? Lin Yi asked subconsciously. He didn't think that Xiaoka would have a change of heart so quickly. It's someone called the male thief. Dake said, in my sister's heart, she has fallen deeply in love with this person, so… Cough, cough. Lin Yi realized that he'd been too worried. Thinking about it, the male thief and Lin Yi were two different people to Xiaoka, and while Lin Yi knew about their identities, Xiaoka didn't. It seemed like she'd misunderstood him because he'd been too nice to her, and that was why she'd asked Udake to be her mediator. Linny didn't know what to do, but at the same time, he felt that it was funny. He wanted to use Linny's identity to tease Xiaoka. If it was before, Linny wouldn't do something so boring, but now that he had feelings for Xiaoka, he didn't mind joking around with her. "What's wrong, Mr. Lin?" Udake jumped when he saw Linny coughing. He thought that Linny was hurt. He quickly said, "Mr. Lin, I didn't mean to hurt you. I just wanted to say that it's better to get the pain over with." Ha! Linny laughed after he finished coughing. He looked at Udake strangely. "Who said I'm hurt? I just think, it's nothing. That male thief isn't as strong as me. At most, he's as strong as me. I still have a chance." Udake felt helpless when he saw how stubborn Linny was, but he didn't want to push it too far. After all, Linny was his savior, and it wouldn't be good if he said it again.
"You don't have to worry about this. I don't want you to get involved.
Although you are Xiaoka's brother, we just met." Linny looked at Udake. Okay. What else could Udake say? He nodded reluctantly. Since Linny said so, it would be rude of him to interfere. It seemed like he could only let Linny and Xiaoka solve it themselves. He reminded, "Xiaoka said that if you insist, Mr. Lin, she might cheat on you even if she's with you." "What?" Linny was shocked. "She means she's cheating on me mentally." Udake added, "Oh, you like male thieves, right? It's fine, I don't mind." Linny nodded. "Actually, it's fine even if she cheats on me physically, I don't mind." Chapter 26:58. The car slowly drove into Seaview Bay, and Linny stopped the car in front of House Chu's villa. He got off the car and said to Udake, "Wait here for me, I'll go get some clothes." "All right, Mr. Lin, go ahead," Udake said, but he was still trying to figure out what Linny's words meant. What did he mean by cheating on a male thief with her body? He didn't care? Did he really not care? Did he care too much about Xiaoka to care about these things, or did he not care about Xiaoka at all, and wanted to treat her as a toy? The more Udake thought about it, the more conflicted he got. He was even more conflicted than Xiaoka. If Linny knew that he would be conflicted like this, Linny wouldn't have teased him. Whether he cared or not, Linny wouldn't make himself a cuckold. But others didn't know, but Linny knew. Linny and the male thief. What was the difference? Linny got off the car and entered the villa. Looking at the familiar scene, Linny was filled with emotions. Linny went upstairs and went to Meng Yao and Yushu's rooms. This used to be Linny's forbidden area, but Linny didn't know when it started. But the two's room was open to Linny, and it was like walking on flat ground. He grabbed a suitcase and started packing Meng Yao and Yushu's winter clothes into it. There were way too many clothes for the two of them, however, and he could only choose according to his taste. He went downstairs to his room after packing the clothes for Meng Yao and Yushu. Linny didn't have many clothes, only a cotton leather jacket, which Faubert bought for him when he first came here. This was the first winter Linny came here, and he didn't buy any clothes, so it was convenient. He opened the wardrobe, took out his cotton leather jacket, and put it on the top of the suitcase. However, when Linny took out the leather jacket, he took out a tattered school uniform from the wardrobe. Linny picked up the tattered school uniform with some doubts, but he had no impression of it at all. When did he throw the tattered school uniform in the closet? Why didn't they throw away this tattered uniform? Why did they leave it here? However, when Linny picked up the torn school uniform and examined it carefully, he realized that this school uniform was actually a girl's school uniform. Could it be Yao Yao or Shu? But why did Yao Yao and Shu put the uniform here? Or did he put it there himself? Did he have a habit of collecting school uniforms? Linny couldn't figure it out. He couldn't figure out where this uniform came from. Since he couldn't remember where this uniform came from, Linny didn't dare throw it away. He put it back in the wardrobe and planned to ask Yao Yao and Shu if they knew where this uniform came from. He put the uniform back, but there was a familiar smell in his hands. It came from that uniform, but Linny felt that it wasn't the Miss or Shu's smell. Even if they used perfume, it wouldn't smell like this. As for Wang Xinyan, Lin Yi didn't think that he had the chance to get her uniform in high school, right? Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, didn't even wear a school uniform. She was one of the big four in school, and she didn't even wear a school uniform to school. Lin Yi shook his head. Since he couldn't think of anything right now, he decided not to think about it. He packed his things and left the villa, putting his suitcase in the trunk before getting in the car and heading back to Donghai. Dake left that night, going back to the hidden right house and exchanging contact numbers with Lin Yi. He said that he would contact him when he had time. He was very regretful that he wasn't able to help Xiaoke, but there was nothing he could do. On one side was his savior, and on the other side was his sister. He couldn't force anything. Meng Yao and Yushu weren't asleep yet. Seeing Lin Yi come back, the miss, who was watching cartoons on the sofa, walked over and took the suitcase from Lin Yi. Lin Yi, you're back.
Thank you.
Haha, you're welcome. Lin Yi smiled. The leather jacket on top is mine, and the rest are yours and shoes. Oh, right, there's a thing. In my closet, there's a torn girl's uniform. Is it yours? Meng Yao paused, confused. What girl's uniform? It's our Songshan's uniform, but it's torn. It seems like you purposely kept it? Lin Yi said. You kept it? Meng Yao was even more confused. She looked at Lin Yi up and down. She didn't think that Lin Yi had the hobby of collecting other people's uniforms. I don't know if it's me. I don't remember. Lin Yi said, feeling a little weirded out. It wasn't a big deal, but he wanted to get to the bottom of it and get to the bottom of it. Then, Meng Yao was about to say something when she raised her head to see Yushu standing behind Lin Yi, blinking at her furiously. Meng Yao froze as she thought of a possibility. Oh, I think that's my uniform. I threw it in the villa before you moved in. Yours? Lin Yi looked at Meng Yao, suspicious. Yours? If it's torn, why didn't you throw it away? Oh, it's a uniform I like, so I kept it,
Meng Yao said.
You? A uniform you like? Lin Yi was even more puzzled. Since when did the miss like uniforms? And why did she keep it when it was torn? As the chairman of Pingzhan's first school, he could have as many uniforms as he wanted. Why would she keep a torn uniform? Oh, Shield Bro, what's up with you today? Why are you so fixated on a uniform? What's there to be surprised about? Yushu came out to mess things up. Oh, Shu knows. Is Shield Bro trying to use the school uniform to do some flirting with to find out who he's fantasizing about? Pfft. Lin Yi's face reddened at Yushu's words. He remembered how Yushu had caught him in the act when he first came to the villa. He coughed twice, realizing that he was being a little weird today. What was he doing with a torn uniform? Chapter 26, 59. However, the forgetfulness herb was targeted at those in Snowy Valley. Since they came to Snowy Valley, they wouldn't be able to come into contact with the things of the past, so there wouldn't be this problem. However, it wasn't the same for Lin Yi. Lin Yi was still living in the same place, but Tangyan wasn't there anymore, so his memories would often be messed up. It's fine. I was just asking. Lin Yi shook his head and didn't dwell on this topic. Meng Yao and Yushu let out a sigh of relief, afraid that Lin Yi would think of something else. However, these few things made them more and more worried. They didn't know if Lin Yi would come into contact with more things related to Tang Yun. If so, what would they do then? They didn't know how Tang Yun was doing. Meng Yao and Yushu missed her very much, but they knew that Tang Yun couldn't call them easily, and they couldn't go to Snowy Valley to visit Tang Yun, so they couldn't tell Lin Yi. The two of them went upstairs, both a little worried. Shu, your idea isn't working. Didn't you say that if you found a big wife for Lin Yi, he wouldn't miss Tang Yun anymore? Now that he's found a big wife, he still misses her. Meng Yao said helplessly, if I knew that, I wouldn't have found one for him.
Ugh.
This, it must be, because Xinyan Sis hasn't agreed to be the big wife yet. It'll be fine after she agrees. Yushu said, Yao Yao Sis, are you jealous? Are you regretting it? If you knew that you would get the big wife, would you? Ahem. What does it have to do with me? I don't think Wang Xinyan is bad. Meng Yao shook her head. I'm just saying, Wang Xinyan can help Lin Yi. We can't let outsiders take advantage of her. Yeah, But Yao Yao's position as the big wife is going to be taken away. Yushu said, "What big wife? Don't drag me into this. What should we do about Tang Yun first?" Meng Yao ignored Yushu's question. Yao Yao's sis has a guilty conscience. Yushu pouted, but seeing that Meng Yao didn't want to talk about this topic, she could only say, "Why don't we ask Tang Yun, sis?"
How?
Meng Yao asked. "Why don't we let Kong Xiaobo and Xiaofan make a trip to Snow Valley? We can't go, but they can." Yushu suggested. "Sure, let them see how Tang Yun is doing. I miss her a lot." Meng Yao's personality was like this. She used to fight with Tang Yun all the time, but now that their relationship was better, she missed Tang Yun a lot. "Yeah, I'll give Kong Xiaobo a call then," Yushu said as she picked up the phone. Kong Xiaobo didn't expect that Yushu would ask him to visit Tang Yun. This was a pleasant surprise, because Xiaofan and Lu Xinwen mentioned that they wanted to visit Tang Yun when they came to the company, but Kong Xiaobo didn't know how to explain it to Lin Yi. After all, he was the vice president of the medicine company now. He couldn't just leave for a vacation for no reason, right? Even if he wanted to go for a vacation, he had to tell Lin Yi first. Plus, he just went for a vacation with Xiaofan last summer. Taking another vacation in such a short time? It wasn't realistic, so Xiaofan and Lu Xinwen's suggestion could only be put aside for now. Now that Yushu asked him to visit Tang Yun and said that she could solve the problem on Lin Yi's side, Kong Xiaobo was naturally very happy and immediately agreed. On the other hand, the reason Yushu gave to Lin Yi was very simple. Didn't she have a high fever often? She needed a kind of herb, and this herb had to be bought from a medicine merchant personally. This merchant was recommended by Wang Xinyan's father, so it was very reliable. This merchant also had a lot of wholesale herbs, so she asked Kong Xiaobo, the vice president of the medicine company, to go and buy the herbs she needed. As for the other herbs, if they were cheap, he would buy them together. Although Lin Yi was a little curious as to how Yushu knew that she needed the herb, Yushu often did unexpected things, so Lin Yi didn't find it strange. Yushu didn't say anything, so he didn't ask. It was Wang Xinyan's father who recommended it, so it shouldn't be a problem. This also involved Wang Xinyan, but after Wang Xinyan knew about it, she was willing to help. However, she was troubled because Meng Yao wanted her to be the first wife to replace Tang Yun. She really couldn't do it. Tang Yun couldn't meet Lin Yi because of the ancient sect, and she was the same. Because of Kong Mingming's identity in the Sky Elixir sect, she couldn't be with Lin Yi openly.
It would also hurt Lin Yi.
So, Wang Xinyan was troubled. Should she confess to Meng Yao? Should she tell Meng Yao about her difficulties? But no matter what, Kong Xiaobo brought Xiaofan and Lu Xinwen to Snowy Valley, and Kong Xiaobo went with Yushu's mission. He had a lot of questions to ask her. The happiest ones were Xiaofan and Lu Xinwen. The two were Tang Yun's childhood friends. Now that Tang Yun was gone, they missed her very much. They were very excited to be able to visit Tang Yun. Early in the morning, an overseas detective came to Songshan's police station. Because Tang Yuqi was very famous overseas, there were people in the police station who knew about Tang Yuqi's name. They had seen some cases that Tang Yuqi solved on TV, so they respected him. So when he suddenly came to Songshan's police station, everyone was surprised. They thought that he was investigating some case. However, when Tang Yuqi explained his purpose, everyone was shocked. They didn't think that the famous detective Tang Yuqi's hometown was in Songshan. He came here to look for his uncle. Tang Jucheng, this name sounds familiar. I remember now. Captain Song was in charge of a case before. It's his family. The person who spoke was the new captain of the Criminal Investigation Department. He used to work under Lingshan, and his surname was Zhang.
Oh.
A case happened in his family? Tang Yuqi's face changed. He asked worriedly, "What happened?" Tang Yuqi was a detective. He knew that a case that the Criminal Investigation Department was in charge of was not a small case. He was worried that something big had happened. Chapter 2660. I see. Tang Yuqi breathed a sigh of relief. Tang Jucheng's daughter was his cousin. It was good that she was fine. Captain Zhang naturally knew the whole story of the case, but there were some details that he couldn't tell Tang Yuqi. This involved Lin Yi and Zhao Qibing, so it wasn't appropriate for him to say too much. Now, Tang Juqing has moved. I'll ask the police to help you find his new address. You can visit him. Okay, thank you, Tang Yuqi quickly said. Soon, Tang Juqing's new address was found. When his family came to move their residence, they moved to the new address, Chongxiang Garden, the area developed by Fatty Lai. Tang Yuqi didn't waste any time and went to Chongxiang Garden in a rented car. He knocked on Tang Juqing's door according to the house number provided by Captain Zhang. However, no one came out to open the door after a long time. Just when Tang Juqing thought that the person in the house had left and was about to wait outside, he knocked on the neighbor's door. Who are you looking for? An old man came out from the room next door and looked at Tang Yuqi cautiously. Hello, old man. Is this Tang Juqing's house? Tang Yuqi asked with a smile. Yes, you're looking for him? The old man didn't let his guard down and was ready to ring the alarm to call the security. Who are you? Hello, sir. My name is Tang Yuqi. I'm from overseas, and I'm Tang Juqing's nephew. I just came from the police station, and someone from the police station gave me my second uncle's address. Tang Yuqi introduced himself. Oh, so you're Juqing's nephew? The old man heard that Tang Yuqi got the address from the police station and sighed in relief. It's like this, you're late. Tang Juqing's family has moved away. Moved away? Didn't they just move here not long ago? Tang Yuqi was confused. Tang Juqing's family had just moved here not long ago, and this area was newly built. There was no reason for them to move away right after they moved here. They just moved here. But I don't know the details, but I saw Tang Juqing and his wife's family packing their luggage and left in a car. They haven't been back since, the old man said. Out of town? He never came back? Tang Yuqi suddenly felt that he was late and quickly asked. Yes, after he left. After that, there was no news of him, and he never came back. The old neighbor nodded. When did they leave? Sir, do you know? Tang Yuqi quickly asked. Probably around July or August. If you want to find them, you'd better ask someone who is familiar with their family. I don't know anything else, said the old neighbor. Okay, sir, I'll have to trouble you. I'll go to the police station and ask. Tang Yuqi didn't know anyone here, so he was completely in the dark. He didn't know who Tang Juqing's family usually interacted with. He could only go to the police station and ask for more information. After leaving the Chongxiang home community, Tang Yuqi returned to the police station again. He found Captain Zhang and told him about the trouble he encountered in detail. The whole family moved away. Captain Zhang was also stunned. He immediately asked the household registration police and said to Tang Yuqi, "We don't have any news here. They probably didn't move. Maybe they went to a friend or a relative's house."
Should be.
Captain Zhang, do you know who is more familiar with my second uncle's family?
Because his family just moved to this community.
They aren't familiar with the neighbors. Tang Yuqi said, his family is quite familiar with our old captain, Captain Song. Why don't you ask Captain Song? Captain Zhang thought about it and suggested, the slums have been demolished, but the new community hasn't been built yet. The people who moved back haven't moved back yet. They're all renting houses outside. I don't know who is closer to their family, so it'll be difficult to find them one by one. How about this? You can ask Captain Song and see if you can get any information. Okay, then I'll trouble Captain Zhang to introduce me to them. Tang Yuqi nodded. Captain Zhang called Lingshan and told her about Tang Yuqi's situation. He wanted to tell her over the phone, but Tang Yuqi didn't have anything to do, and Songshan wasn't too far from Donghai, so he went to Donghai personally. Lingshan didn't show anything on the phone, only saying that she would try her best to help Tang Yuqi. But after hanging up, Lingshan fell into deep thought. Tang Yun's training in Shuegu was a secret. Lingshan knew about it, but she couldn't tell Tang Yuqi so easily. Even if Tang Yuqi was Tang Juqing's nephew, Tang Yun's cousin, this involved a lot of trouble, especially Lin Yi. Would Tang Yuqi's appearance involve Lin Yi? So Lingshan was hesitating whether or not she should tell Tang Yuqi the truth. Just when Lingshan was hesitating, Tang Yuqi came to the police station in Donghai and met Lingshan. Lingshan's beauty brightened Tang Yuqi's eyes. He didn't expect this policewoman to be so valiant and charming. Tang Yuqi was an authentic Chinese, and his aesthetics were also Eastern. He didn't have a girlfriend when he was overseas, and he hadn't met anyone suitable either. He didn't think that he would meet a girl in Donghai that could move him. "Hello, Miss Song, I'm Tang Yuqi. Captain Zhang from Songshan's police station introduced me to you." Tang Yuqi said politely, but he didn't call Lingshan as formal as before. He called her Miss Song. "Hello, Mr. Tang." Lingshan didn't mind how Tang Yuqi called her. She thought that he was from overseas and was used to calling young ladies that. "Mr. Tang, are you looking for Tang Juqing's family?" "Yes, Miss Song. I heard from Captain Zhang that you have a good relationship with my second uncle's family. You were also in charge of my cousin's case. Is that true?" Tang Yuqi asked. "That's true, but I'm not that close with Tang Juqing's family. I was transferred to Donghai after that, and I haven't been in contact with them since," Lingshan said. "Miss Song, as far as I know, when my second uncle's family moved, you weren't in Donghai yet, right?
So please think about it.
My second uncle's family moved in July or August. Do you have any impression of that?" Tang Yuqi was a detective, and he paid attention to the details. He wasn't trying to refute Lingshan on purpose, but he just said it. Chapter 2661. Especially since Tang Yun going to Shuigu was a secret, without Mingyao's permission, she couldn't tell Tang Yuqi. This was beyond her job scope, and she couldn't help Tang Yuqi at all. They left in July or August, right? I didn't pay attention to that. I thought they left recently. Is that so? Tang Yuqi's sensitivity as a detective told him that Lingshan was hiding something from him, as if she was hiding something from him. "Naturally, but I can help you ask around. I have a friend who's pretty close to Tang Yun. I'll see if she knows anything." Lingshan didn't say anything definite. She wanted to ask Mengyao first. "Oh, if that's the case, can you introduce me to this friend so that we can pay a visit together?" Tang Yuqi's eyes lit up after listening, and he quickly asked, "I'm afraid not. I can't reveal her identity before this friend agrees." Lingshan shook her head. "She's different from me. You asked Captain Zhang to help me find your uncle. It's my job, but my friend doesn't want people to disturb her. I hope you can understand, Mr. Tang." "I understand." Tang Yuqi nodded. "I was being too impulsive. All right, Captain Lingshan, this is my name card. My contact number is on it. I'll stay here for now, and we'll keep in touch. If you have any news, please let me know immediately." "Sure, I'll let you know when I have news." Lingshan nodded and took Tang Yuqi's name card. It was written in a foreign language, but Tang Yuqi had written a temporary number on it. Tang Yuqi didn't say anything more. He stood up and left. From Lingshan's tone and expression, he could tell that she was hiding something from him. It was just that he couldn't ask her about it. From what he could see, it had to do with Lingshan's friend. If Lingshan didn't want to talk about it, there was no point in asking. He might as well wait patiently. Lingshan waited for Tang Yuqi to leave before calling Mengyao. She'd had some conflicts with Mengyao in the past, but ever since they'd worked together to help Mengyao escape with the unconscious Lin Yi, their relationship had gotten a lot better. "Sister Lingshan, are you looking for me?" Mengyao was a little surprised. She was in the middle of a class, and Lingshan was calling her. She'd asked for leave from the class and answered the call. Usually, Lingshan wouldn't call her for a chat if there was nothing going on, so the only possibility was that something was up. "And Yao, I do have something important to discuss with you. I can't make up my mind, so I'm asking for your opinion," Lingshan said.
"Ah?
Are you asking for my opinion?" Mengyao was a little taken aback. She didn't understand why Lingshan was asking for her opinion. "Lingshan sis, why are you asking me about your matters?" "Haha, I didn't make it clear. This isn't just about me, it's about Lin Yi and Tang Yun." Lingshan quickly added. "Actually, it's like this, someone's looking for Tang Yun. Looking for Tang Yun." "What's going on?" Mengyao was shocked. "Who is it?" "It's not an enemy. It's a relative of Tang Yun's family. Don't worry, Mengyao, it's like this." With that, Lingshan told Meng Yao about Tang Yuqi looking for Tang Juqing's family in detail. Meng Yao couldn't help but go into deep thought after listening to Lingshan's story. She really couldn't just tell anyone about Tang Yun. Tang Yuqi was Tang Juqing's nephew, Tang Yun's cousin, but they weren't really familiar with each other. She didn't know what kind of person he was, and she didn't know if he'd reveal this secret. Most importantly, this was hidden from Lin Yi. If Tang Yuqi found out, would he blabber to Lin Yi? If he did, then all their efforts would be wasted. With Lin Yi's personality, he'd definitely go to the Snowy Valley to find Tang Yun and stop her heartless arts. But if he really did stop her, would the Snowy Valley let Lin Yi go? With Lin Yi's current strength, while he could fight people above his level and kill Sky-class masters in one hit, he was still far from the ancient Sky-class late-phase peak. Meng Yao wouldn't let Lin Yi take the risk. Plus, it was hard to say whether Tang Yun was still the same Tang Yun from before. Would Tang Yun still have anything to do with Lin Yi after learning the Heartless Arts? All of these were Meng Yao's concerns. After some hesitation, Meng Yao said, Lingshan sis, I think we should be careful about this. Although this person is Tang Yun's cousin, and he's a very close relative, we don't know what kind of person he is. I think we should observe him for a while. If he's really reliable, then it's fine to tell him, but if he's not, then it'll only make things worse. Most importantly, is this Tang Yuqi a practitioner? Does he know about practitioners? Would there be any other troubles if I told him?
Huh.
He's called Tang Yuqi? Tang Yuqi's name sounded a little familiar to Meng Yao after she'd finished her speech. She seemed to have heard it somewhere before, but Meng Yao couldn't remember who it was. It was probably someone she wasn't familiar with. Maybe she'd only heard of this person's name or met him once. Meng Yao didn't want to waste any more time thinking about it. Yes, Tang Yuqi. What's wrong, Yao Yao? Do you know him? Lingshan paused. I don't know him, but it sounds familiar. Maybe I heard from Lin Yi that there's a disciple of the Hidden House Tang called Tang Yuqi. Maybe that's why. Meng Yao said. Oh, actually I think so too. I'm going to observe this Tang Yuqi. If this person is really a very reliable person, then I don't mind telling him something. But if this person is not reliable, then forget it. Lingshan agreed. Also, the thing you said about him knowing practitioners is very important. I'll find a chance to test him. All right, Lingshan sis. You decide, but try not to affect Lin Yi. Meng Yao said. Okay, I understand. Lingshan nodded. Don't worry, I'll act according to the situation. Chapter 26:62. The Hidden House U was in a small town with beautiful scenery. On top of a small hill, there were many European-style castles and manors. This was the base of the Hidden House U. When these hidden houses chose their location, they would usually choose a secluded place because it was far away from the hustle and bustle, and the air was less polluted. It was convenient. This was also why the Hidden House Han and House Zhao built their houses in the suburbs. The town wasn't a tourist attraction, and although the castle on the hill was beautiful, it was private property. There weren't many tourists here. Qibing and Uncle Zhu found a hotel to stay in after arriving. Uncle Zhu was confused. He didn't know what Qibing was doing here. He'd been here for a day already, and there was still no news or mission. He asked Qibing, but Qibing only smiled and didn't say anything, only telling him to wait patiently. Uncle Zhu was afraid that Qibing would suspect him, so he didn't ask anymore. He waited in the hotel room, but in the meantime, he secretly called Lin Yi. Boss, it's Second Zhu, Uncle Zhu said in a low voice. He didn't need to be on guard against Qibing. He was an Earth-class early phase, and he didn't work hard to stabilize his strength. There was no way he could hear what they were talking about. Qibing's senses weren't even as good as Second Zhu's. Although Lin Yi had helped Second Zhu to level up, he had been working hard to stabilize his strength all this time. To him, it was normal to train hard for the past few decades, and it would be abnormal if he didn't do it. Lin Yi's strength was much easier to stabilize than the others, and Uncle Zhu only needed to stabilize the part of his strength that the Qi gathering pill had given him. Oh. Uncle Zhu, what's the matter? Lin Yi asked. Boss, Zhao Qibing brought me to Sky Rain Town. I don't know what he's up to, but we've been here for a whole day. I asked him, but he didn't tell me what he's up to, Uncle Zhu said. Oh, what kind of place is Rain Town? Lin Yi didn't know that the Hidden House U was in Rain Town. This is the location of the Hidden House U. Zhao Qibing's 1,000 kicks technique was obtained from the Hidden House U, so I suspect that he's here to ask for some sort of technique again? Uncle Zhu guessed. Oh, that's where the Hidden House U is. Lin Yi was a little surprised, but he didn't know what Qibing was going to do. Second Zhu, pay close attention to Qibing's movements and let me know if there's anything. Okay, boss. I'll see if he's going to come up with a new trump card. Zhu Lao nodded. Qibing was actually waiting for Yushan's call as well. It wasn't that he didn't trust Uncle Zhu, but that he didn't want anything to happen. Qibing followed Elder Yu's words and hid it from him as well. Finally, in the evening, Qibing received Yushan's call. Brother Yushan, how is it? Is there any news? Qibing saw Yushan's name on the phone and asked excitedly. Later, the Hidden House you will be having a family dinner. After the dinner, I'll try to bring Yuning out. If I come out, I'll text you. You should be prepared. Is that okay? Yushan asked quickly. No problem, I've prepared everything. Don't worry, Yushan bro, I'll definitely catch Yuning. Tell me where to wait. Qibing patted his chest and promised. Later, I'll think of a way to get Yuning to come out with me. It should be near the Hidden House U's back mountain. Just wait there, Yushan said. Okay, I'll go now. Qibing nodded. After hanging up, Qikuan went to knock on Uncle Zhu's door. Uncle Zhu, who had just called Lin Yi, jumped in fright.
Who is it?
Uncle Zhu, it's me. Open the door, Qibing said hurriedly. From Qibing's tone, Uncle Zhu thought that Qibing had heard the conversation between him and Lin Yi. His heart almost exploded. But he still opened the door quietly and asked carefully, Master Bing, I was playing with my phone just now. What's up? Oh, then stop playing and come with me to do something.
Quick.
Qibing didn't care at all what Uncle Zhu was doing.
Ah.
Okay. Uncle Zhu breathed in relief and asked, what do you need to do? Master Bing, I need to prepare. Catch someone? Qibing said, quick, no need to prepare. We'll go straight away. Oh, okay. Uncle Zhu nodded and quickly followed Qibing out of the room. He asked as they walked, who are we catching? You'll know when we get there. Qibing waved his hand and didn't say much. Uncle Zhu had no choice but to leave with Qibing, Hidden House U. Today was the night of the Yu's family banquet. Every few days, the Hidden House would have a banquet, and all the direct descendants of House Yu would attend. Yushan and Yuning, as the younger generation of the house, were no exceptions. If it were before, Yushan wouldn't attend an event like this. He'd already given up and he didn't want to have any status in the house anymore. He was a cripple anyway, so he didn't want to attend a family gathering like this. But today was different. He had a mission to complete, so he came. Yu Shaochen was a little surprised that Yushan was able to attend. He didn't really like him, but as the head of the house, he still nodded to him with a smile. Yushan, you're finally willing to come to the family dinner today? I thought you'd only come out when there are outsiders. Haha, uncle, I've thought it through. If I'm crippled, then so be it. I can't be a cripple anymore, but I can still do something for the house. I can't be a cripple forever, Yushan said. Oh, it's great that you can think that way, Shaochen said after a slight pause. The banquet this time was no different from the usual ones. The old master of House Yu came down the mountain as well, but he didn't say much. Even when he saw Yushan, he only nodded and didn't say much. The banquet ended quickly, and just when everyone was about to leave, Yushan spoke up. Ning, it's rare that your brother is in such a good mood today. How about you push your brother out for a spin? Chapter 2663. Yuning looked at her father, Shaochen, a little confused. Shaochen found it strange as well, but thinking about how Yushan's personality had changed before the meal, Shaochen couldn't reject him. He nodded. Ning, just push your brother Yushan around. You two can talk. If Yushan walks out of the shadow, then I'll give him some housekeeping work. Okay, father. Yuning nodded and pushed Yushan's wheelchair out of the Hidden House Yu. The old ancestor of House Yu had already left, so he didn't know about this. Xiao Chen didn't think much about it, naturally. He didn't think that there would be a problem near his house. Yuning pushed Yushan out of the castle and to the manor behind the house.
She didn't know what to say.
She knew how Yushan got hurt, and although it was his own fault, at least it was caused by her brother and Lin Yi, so she still felt guilty. Ning, I know that in your heart, you must be thinking that I hate your brother, right? Yushan saw that Yuning wasn't talking, so he took the initiative to start a conversation. He had to talk, otherwise, how could he stall for time and let Yuning push him to the back of the mountain? Ah. Yuning paused, not expecting Yushan to be so direct. But she shook her head. No, we're all you, and we're all cousins. It's all in the past, and Yushan bro, coming to the banquet today proves that you've walked out of the shadow of your injury, right? Haha, yeah, you're right. There's a saying that goes, you can't write two U's in one stroke. Although you Bing and an outsider beat me into a cripple, in the end, it's my own fault. I was injured because I wasn't strong enough. So, who can I blame? It's fine as long as you think it through. Yushan smiled. These days, I've been thinking about a lot of things. What are you doing? Can't you see us siblings talking about family matters? Why are you so close? Are you trying to eavesdrop? Yushan suddenly stopped talking and yelled at a servant who was taking care of the garden nearby.
Ah.
Young Master Yushan,
I
didn't eavesdrop. The servant was startled and hurriedly shook his head to show his innocence. Brother Yushan, he's just working here. I'm sure he has no intention of eavesdropping. Don't make things difficult for him. Yuning had a good heart and quickly dissuaded him. However, she did not doubt Yushan's behavior. Yushan was like this. Ever since he was crippled, his temper was not very good. He often scolded the servants and disciples in the house, so his current behavior was normal for Yuning. Humph. Aren't you going to thank Miss Yuning? Yushan snorted. Thank you, Miss Yuning. Thank you. The servant said gratefully. Xiaoning, let's go. Let's go to the back of the mountain where there's no one. We don't want the servants to eavesdrop. Yushan snorted again, then said to Yuning. Oh, okay. With the previous scene, Yuning didn't think much about it. She pushed Yushan towards the back of the mountain. The two of them chatted as they walked, and it was a very intimate conversation. Yuning thought that Yushan had really thought it through and was enlightened, so she was very happy. The harmony of House Yu was the most important thing to Yuning. If Yushan could think it through, it would be good for him to be in charge of the housekeeping. Yushan said it nicely, but he was laughing coldly in his heart. Xiaoning, you're too naive. You believe everything I say? You'll be dumbfounded when Zhao Qibing kidnaps you later. At this moment, Zhao Qibing was already hiding in the back of the hidden House Yu's mountain. Both of them were Earth-class practitioners. It was a piece of cake for them to hide from the patrolling disciples. The hidden House Yu was only a hidden house, and the patrolling disciples were only golden-class masters. This was nothing compared to the ancient level. Zhao Qibing had already received Yu Shan's secret message. He was ready to kidnap Yuning at any time. When the two of them got close, Zhao Qibing ordered Uncle Zhu, Uncle Zhu, you go and knock that girl out and carry her away. But remember to carry her in a certain position. Don't touch her. She's my future wife. Yes. Uncle Zhu's heart skipped a beat. He quickly replied, but in his heart, he was already so old. Naturally, he wouldn't touch her. However, he was curious about Zhao Qibing coming to the hidden House Yu's territory to kidnap someone. What was Zhao Qibing trying to do? Uncle Zhu didn't know Yuning, so naturally, he didn't know who the man and woman were. He hesitated before taking action. Master Bing, just the girl? What about the man in the wheelchair? Should we kill them or capture them together? When you go, knock the man out and just capture the girl, Zhao Qibing said. Didn't he see my face? Uncle Zhu paused and asked. It's fine. That's my spy, the young master of the hidden House Yu, Yushan. The girl is his sister, Yuning. I'm planning to make her my wife. Zhao Qibing was afraid that Uncle Zhu wouldn't be at ease, so he explained. Of course, he wasn't afraid that the news would leak since they were about to take action. This would be exposed sooner or later anyway. At that time, it would be time for Zhao Qibing to propose to the hidden house Yu. What's done is done. There's nothing to be afraid of.
Ah.
Yuning? But does a spy need to be knocked out? Uncle Zhu paused. This Zhao Qibing was quite daring. He even dared to kidnap the young miss of House Yu. However, he didn't think much about it. After all, he didn't know the relationship between Lin Yi and Yuning. In Uncle Zhu's impression, Lin Yi was enemies with the hidden House Yu and House Zhao. Yes, won't we expose ourselves if we don't knock them out? All right, let's move. Zhao Qibing saw the two approaching and ordered. Yes. Uncle Zhu nodded and understood, so he quickly rushed over. When Yuning was defenseless, he knocked her out with a palm. Then, under Yushan's expressionless face, he knocked him out with a punch, then carried Yuning and turned to leave. Zhao Qibing saw that Uncle Zhu succeeded and didn't dare to stay any longer. He quickly ran away with Uncle Zhu. After avoiding the patrolling disciples, they got into a car at the foot of the mountain and left the hidden house Yu's territory as fast as lightning. Chapter 26-64. Master Bing, where are we going now? Uncle Zhu asked carefully. To the hotel, but not the one from before. We can't stay in the town, we'll go to the city next door. Qibing was afraid that someone in the town would recognize Yuning and cause unnecessary trouble. He'd already checked the route and went to a 5-star hotel in the city next door. Oh. Uncle Zhu nodded, getting the gist of it. Master Bing, you're not thinking of forcing it. Wouldn't that cause conflict and war between the hidden house Zhao and House Yu? Haha, Uncle Zhu, you're only looking at the surface, not the pros and cons in the middle. With that, Qibing told Uncle Zhu about his analysis and plans. After listening to Qibing's analysis, Uncle Zhu came to a realization: this wasn't the time to blame the young miss of House Yu. Turning a bad thing into a good thing was the right thing to do, so Qibing's words made sense. Once Yuning became his wife, everything would be fine, but could Lin Yi make use of this? Uncle Zhu decided to find a chance to inform Lin Yi about this. If Lin Yi could make use of it, that would be the best, but if not, he'd do his best. Hidden House Yu. Yushan and Yuning hadn't contacted each other for a long time, and Xiaochen was starting to panic. He called Yuning's pager, which could only be used within the range of the Hidden House Yu. Like the intercom system, it couldn't be used to communicate with the outside world. Xiaochen was afraid that Yuning would contact Lin Yi casually, so he restricted her communication. After the call connected, it showed that she wasn't in range, and the call was restricted. Xiaochen was shocked. This meant that the pager was turned off, or it had left the range of the Hidden House Yu's signal. But Yuning couldn't turn off the pager, and the pager was powered by solar energy, so it couldn't be without electricity. The only possibility was that something had happened. With that thought, Xiaochen called Yushan's pager again. Yushan's pager was connected, but no one answered. Xiaochen switched to Yushan's phone, and it was the same. No one answered, and cold sweat dripped down Xiaochen's forehead. Someone! Xiaochen roared. Patriarch. It was Rain 7. Yu6 had died, and he was now in charge of Yu6's work, becoming Yu Xiaochen's follower. Go, get someone to look for Yuning and Yushan near the family mountain range. If there's any news, report to me immediately. Xiaochen ordered. Yes, Patriarchs. After Yuqi received the order, he quickly left to look for Yuning and Yushan. Xiaochen, on the other hand, furrowed his brows, hesitating on whether or not he should tell his father about this. Xiaochen decided to wait. In case it was just a false alarm, he wouldn't want to alert his father. The Elder Yu had recently touched the barrier of Sky Class early phase peak, and there was a high chance that he'd reach Sky Class mid-phase. He'd been training whenever he had time, and Xiaochen didn't want to disturb him. However, very soon Yu7 sent a very bad news. They found Yushan in the back mountain of the family, but Yushan was knocked out. He was now in a coma, and Yushan was alone. There was no trace of Yuning by his side. This news made Xiaochen's heart sink. He quickly ordered Yu7 to increase the search area and send Yushan over as soon as possible. Xiaochen wanted to know what had happened. It wasn't long before Rain 7 brought Yushan over. Patriarch, I've brought Yushan here. We didn't do anything after finding him, and we didn't wake him up even after checking if he was injured. And Xiaochen nodded and massaged Yushan's body a few times. Yushan slowly turned around and opened his eyes, a little dazed. The next moment he cried out, "Not good. Save him. Someone's kidnapped Ningxis."
What?
Xiaochen's eyes widened as he looked at Yushan. What's going on? Where's Yuning? Who kidnapped her? Uncle, hurry and save Ningxis. Someone's kidnapped her. Yushan struggled to get up from the stretcher. Calm down first. Tell me slowly what's going on. Xiaochen frowned as he saw Yushan's rambling. It's like this. Sister Xiaoning was pushing me around the back mountain when two people suddenly appeared. They knocked me out and kidnapped Sister Xiaoning. Yushan said.
Who?
What do they look like? Which direction did they run off to? Xiaochen frowned. Those two. One old and one young. I don't know the old one, but the young one, I think it was Lin Yi. I'm not sure, it was too fast, after all. The young one took her away, and the old one hit me, and I fainted. Yushan said. As for which direction they went, I don't know. I fainted and didn't see clearly.
What? Lin Yi?
Xiaochen paused, not expecting Lin Yi to do it. In actuality, Yushan was just trying to smooth things over, to give the hidden house you the wrong direction and buy time for Zhao Qibing. He seemed to be talking about Lin Yi, but he wasn't sure if it was Lin Yi. Even if Xiaochen found out the truth, he could just say that he didn't see clearly. I think it was Lin Yi, but I'm not sure. Uncle, you know that I'm injured, and I can't move freely. I only saw it from the side, and I didn't see it clearly. Yushan said. Yu Qi, search the city. Search the entire city, and send people to the highways nearby to look for Yuning's whereabouts. Yu Xiaochen ordered. Yes. Yu Qi nodded. Xiaochen regretted not giving Yuning a cell phone, but he couldn't do that now. Yushan had fainted for a while now, and it was a problem if he could stop Lin Yi. With the current situation, Xiaochen didn't have the time to doubt Yushan. He quickly flew to the mountaintop. This was beyond his control and decision-making. If Yuning was just his daughter, he could make the decision himself, but Yuning's identity was special, and he had to let the old ancestor make the decision. Chapter 26-65. Househead. Househead is practicing. Please be quiet. You heard Xiaochen Yu's impatient voice and jumped in fright. She quickly spoke up to stop him. Yu, Yi, something big has happened. Ning was kidnapped by Lin Yi. Hurry, and inform father. Xiaochen said. Yes. Yui heard about this, and cold sweat poured down his forehead. He quickly turned around to inform the old ancestor of House Yu. At that moment, old ancestor Yu's voice sounded from within, appearing in front of Xiaochen. Xiaochen, what did you say? Lin Yi kidnapped Yuning? Is this real? Are you sure? Lin Yi broke into our hidden House Yu's castle? Father, it's like this. It's Yushan. With that, Xiaochen quickly told the story of how Yushan wanted to go out for a walk after the meal, and how Yuning pushed him out. He then told the story of how Yushan fainted, and woke up claiming that Lin Yi kidnapped Yuning. Yushan said all this? Old Ancestor Yu was old and experienced, and although he was panicking, he was much calmer than Xiaochen. He could hear the illogic in the story. Why did they go to the back mountain? Why would they go to such a remote place? If Lin Yi kidnapped Yuning, why did he keep Yushan alive? Why didn't he kill him? Didn't they have a grudge against each other? Xiaochen was suspicious after hearing what old Ancestor Yu said. I don't know why they went to such a remote place. Should I go ask? But Lin Yi didn't kill Yushan. It could be understood that he didn't want to be enemies with our hidden House Yu. After all, he likes Ning, and it wouldn't be good to kill her family. Old Ancestor Yu nodded. Let's go. We'll go ask Yushan. Yes. Yu Xiaochen and Yu Yi quickly followed behind the old man, and the three of them went down the mountain. Yushan saw that his plan worked, and he was secretly happy, but he still acted like he was out of his wits. Yu Qi had already arranged for people to expand the search area, sending out all the hidden House Yu's people, but there was still no news of Yuning. Yushan knew that Qibing must have left safely, that it was a success. Yushan, why did you and Yuning go to such a remote mountain? Yushan was happy when the deep voice of old ancestor Yu came from behind, scaring him so much that he almost fell out of his wheelchair. Grandpa. After this period of depression, Yushan had learned to not show his emotions on his face. After adjusting his emotions, he turned around and said in fear and trepidation, Grandpa, my sister and I were talking about resolving our grudges. At that time, there were servants walking around. I was afraid that they would overhear our family matters and gossip, so I scolded one of the servants and told him to stay away from us. However, Sister Xiaoning was kind and helped him out. She didn't let me scold him anymore. Then, she pushed me to the back of the mountain because there were fewer people there, and it was more convenient to talk. Yushan pushed all the responsibility to Yuning, clearing his name of responsibility. Oh, which servant? Old ancestor Yu asked. It's not far from the door. There's a servant making flowers. I don't know his name. Yushan paused and smiled bitterly. However, Yushan didn't know the servant, which lessened old ancestor Yu's suspicions a little. If Yushan found this witness right away, that would be a problem. Yuqi, go ask around and see if this is the case. Old ancestor Yu ordered.
Yes.
Rain 7 replied and quickly ran out. Not long after, she returned with a servant. This servant was the one Yushan scolded earlier, and although he was scared, he didn't dare to hide anything. He told the story, and it was exactly the same as what Yushan said. Old ancestor Yu nodded, believing Yushan's words. You're saying that Lin Yi kidnapped Yuning? Old ancestor Yu waved his hand, signaling Yuqi to take the servant away as he continued to ask Yushan. I'm not sure about that. I only vaguely saw that the person seemed to be Lin Yi, but I didn't see it clearly, so I don't know if it's him. Yushan shook his head and said, uncertainly. All right, Yuqi, push Yushan down first. Old ancestor Yu looked at Yuqi and gave him a look. Yuqi could tell that old ancestor Yu was suspicious of Yushan, and naturally, he understood that old ancestor Yu wanted him to watch over Yushan for now, so he quickly replied, yes. Then, Yuqi pushed Yushan out of the hall. Yushan, naturally, understood that there were too many suspicious points in his plan. Yu Shaochen was worried about Yuning's safety, so he didn't have time to think about it, but old ancestor Yu was different. He was a meticulous thinker, and he must have seen through the flaws in the plan. It was normal for him to be watched over now, and Yushan didn't mind. Once Zhao Qibing got what he wanted, he would have achieved his goal. Not only did he annoy Lin Yi, but Haoxi was finished as well. His revenge was complete. After Yuqi left with Yushan, old ancestor Yu turned to Yu Shaochen. Shaochen, what do you think? Yushan's words are fine, but it's still suspicious, Yu Shaochen said after a deep sigh. Xiu Yu said after a sigh. There was only him, old elder Yu, and Yu Yi left in the hall, so there was no need to hide anything. He could just say whatever he wanted to say. Not bad, Yu Yi. Give Yushu a call and ask her where Lin Yi is. Old ancestor Yu nodded and turned to Yu Yi. Yes. Old master. Yu Yi replied and took out his phone, dialing Yushu's number. Yushan never would have thought that old ancestor Yu had a backup plan, one that could track Lin Yi's movements at any time. But it didn't matter even if he knew, since Zhao Qibing had already left the hidden house Yu's search range. As long as he held on and pushed Yuning down, there would be no turning back. So what if he knew that it wasn't Lin Yi? At this moment, Lin Yi, Meng Yao, Yushu, and Xinyan had just finished school. After dinner, Lin Yi and Xinyan went back to their room to practice, while Meng Yao and Yushu sat on the sofa, watching TV. Chapter 2666. Yushu's lazy demeanor turned back to her usual shrewd self. She stood up and walked towards the bathroom. Yao sis, I'm going to take a call. It's my brother. Oh. Meng Yao didn't mind. If it was Yu Tian, he would probably talk to Yushu for a long time. It was normal for Yushu to go to the bathroom to take the call. She didn't want to disturb her TV. Hello? Yushu came to the bathroom and picked up the phone carefully. She lowered her voice. What's the matter? Do you want to give me the antidote? It's not time yet, right? Shu, I need to confirm something with you. Where is Lin now? Yui didn't answer Yushu's question but asked directly. Lin. He's at home. What's wrong? Don't tell me you want me to deal with him again? Yushu asked back. At home? Are you sure? Yui asked. Yeah, he's in the room. Do you want to talk to him? Yushu realized that she guessed wrongly. Yui's call wasn't to give her the antidote, nor to deal with Lin. It was just to ask about Lin Yi's whereabouts. He hasn't left before? Yui asked uncertainly. Yeah, he hasn't left. Yushu was even more confused. She didn't know what Yui wanted. Then it's fine. Yui hung up the phone. What the hell? Yushu put away her phone and walked out of the bathroom. She wondered what was wrong with Yui. Why did he make such a strange call?
Huh?
Shu, you finished the call? So fast. Mengyao was surprised to see Yushu come back so soon. Oh, my brother just said a few words, and he's already busy. It's not like you don't know his job. Yushu shook her head helplessly.
Oh.
Mengyao nodded and didn't think much about it. She continued watching TV. On Yui's side, he also told Yushu's words to old Yu. Are you sure that Lin Yi is at home and didn't come over? Elder Yu frowned, suspecting Yushan again. Yes, she didn't have to lie to me, Yui said. She didn't dare to lie to me. She was afraid that I wouldn't give her the antidote next time. That's true. Elder Yu nodded, but he didn't relax. He turned to Xiaochun. Xiaochun, you have Yupanu's number, right? Wasn't he in the same class as Lin Yi? Ask him. Did you see Lin Yi today? If Lin Yi didn't leave until school ended today, it means that he didn't do it because he didn't have enough time. Even if he rushed over after school, he wouldn't have made it in time. All right, father, but I have Yu Xintian's number. I don't have Yu Coiling Tiger's number, but I can ask. Xiaochun nodded and went to make the call. Over here. Old Master Yu and Yu One were waiting for Yu Xiaochun's news. Yu Xiaochun had confirmed the news as well. How is it? Old Master Yu saw Xiaochun walk over and asked hurriedly. With his personality, he was rarely in a rush. For Yu Ning, he was a little out of control. If something really happened to Yu Ning, Elder Xuanchun's rage wasn't something the hidden house Yu could handle. We can confirm that it wasn't Lin Yi. Shu didn't lie, Lin Yi was at home. Yu Coiling Tiger confirmed it. Lin Yi didn't leave the classroom until school ended, Xiaochun said. As long as it's not Lin Yi. Old ancestor Yu let out a sigh of relief. If Lin Yi was the one who kidnapped Yu Ning, the possibility of something really happening between the two of them was too high. There was no way old ancestor Yu wouldn't be worried. But if it wasn't Lin Yi, it would be much worse. Old Master Yu naturally didn't think of Zhao Qibing as a factor. As far as he was concerned, someone who could kidnap Yu Ning and enter the hidden house Yu's no man's land had to be a practitioner of mystic class and above. They kidnapped Yu Ning for money. As long as it was money, it was easy. The hidden house Yu didn't lack money. If they wanted money, they could give it. If they really wanted something, they could use that place to suppress it. These years, the name of that place wasn't as low-key as before. It had spread to all the big sects and families. As long as a practitioner had a bit of ability, they would vaguely hear of that place. Although they didn't know where it was, it didn't affect the power of that place. Father, then what should we do now? Xiaochun asked. On one hand, increase the search. Yu One, you'll be in charge of this personally, Old Master Yu said. Elder Yu said, on the other hand, Yu Xiaochun, you go talk to Yushan. Don't force him, and don't alert him. Try to find out if this has anything to do with him.
All right.
I'll go right now, Xiaochun and Yui replied. As for the old ancestor of House Yu, although he was anxious, there was nothing he could do. He could only wait here for news. The person who kidnapped Yu Ning must have a purpose. It was impossible for them to kidnap her without making any noise. So now the old ancestor of House Yu could only wait. Time passed, second by second. Zhao Qibing drove to a nearby city and booked a hotel in advance. In order to hide from the eyes and ears of the people in the hotel, Uncle Zhu used a long box that was prepared in advance and put Yu Ning in it. Yu Ning was slender, and when she was put in the box, from the appearance, It looked like a large electronic organ or musical instrument. Uncle Zhu carried the box and entered the hotel with Qibing. Qibing had booked the room online, so it didn't take long for him to get the room card and go upstairs with Uncle Zhu. Qibing booked a luxurious presidential suite. As far as he was concerned, Yuning was his future wife. She wasn't the kind of girl he could just get into bed with. It was their first time, so he had to be serious. In a 5-star hotel's presidential suite, it wouldn't be a disgrace to their status. After entering the room, Qibing and Uncle Zhu breathed out in relief. Going to the hidden house to kidnap someone. If the hidden house found out about this, they'd be dead meat. Even if the hidden house didn't do anything to Qibing out of respect for the hidden house Zhao, Uncle Zhu would definitely be in trouble. And so, Uncle Zhu's hatred towards Zhao Qibing deepened even further. From his point of view, it was no wonder that Qibing didn't tell him the truth. He would tell him when the time came and only tell him the truth when the time came. Chapter 26:67. It was probably because Qibing was afraid that he wouldn't dare to go. Uncle Zhu wasn't happy about being treated as a scapegoat, but he still followed Qibing's orders and poured Yuning out of the box onto the bed in the presidential suite. Master Bing, everything is prepared according to your orders. What do you think we should do now? Uncle Zhu asked. Oh, you give this bag of powder to Yuning. I want to set up the camera. Qibing said as he took out a bag of powder from his backpack and passed it to Uncle Zhu. He then took out a camera. Oh, what powder is this? Uncle Zhu paused. This is the aphrodisiac Yao Wang made for me. It's colorless and odorless, but it's very strong. Girls will be very active after taking it. Qibing didn't hide anything anymore. I want to record the whole process of sleeping with Yuning and let the old man of house see that it was Yuning who took the initiative. This way, the hidden house can only take the loss and marry Yuning to me for the sake of their reputation. So that's how it is. Uncle Zhu's heart skipped a beat, thinking that Qibing's idea was brilliant. This way, even if the hidden house suspected something, Qibing would have the recording in his hand. If they insisted that he and Yuning were lovers, and it was Yuning who initiated it, then what could the hidden house do? Even if Yuning told the truth, the hidden house Zhao would only need to publicize the video and find the other hidden houses to judge. The hidden house would lose all their face. The only way was for the hidden house to accept it and marry Yuning to Qibing. This way, Qibing would have the help of the hidden house and become the young master of the hidden house Zhao, without a doubt. But this way, Qibing would have a strong backing. Would he go against Lin Yi? With that thought, Uncle Zhu couldn't help but worry. Would he be able to ruin Qibing's plan? But his power was limited, so he could only ask Lin Yi. Let's see if Lin Yi had any ideas. Uncle Zhu took his time to prepare the medicine. Qibing had already set up the camera, and he chose a very good angle to capture both him and Yuning. However, it wasn't clear, mainly because he couldn't capture Yuning's body clearly, but he could capture Qibing's body clearly. This recording was for old Yu and Yu Shaochen to see, even though Yuning was their daughter and granddaughter. But Zhao Qibing didn't want his wife to be seen by other people, so he had to make it a little blurry. If necessary, he would find a woman who knew how to do post-processing to help him cover it up. Uncle Zhu, are you done yet? The boiling water should be enough. Hurry up and let Yuning drink it. It's not like you can burn her to death. Qibing saw that Uncle Zhu was still shaking the cup, not feeding the medicine to Yuning. He panicked. The medicine will take effect in half an hour, and Yuning is unconscious. It would probably take longer for it to act up. You should hurry up. I can't wait. Oh, okay. Uncle Zhu wanted to drag it out a little longer, but since Qibing said so, he had no choice but to pour the medicine into Yuning's mouth. Seeing Uncle Zhu pour the medicine into Yuning's mouth, Qibing nodded. All right. Stand guard at the door. I'll take a shower first. Yes, Master Bing. Uncle Zhu quickly left the room. The first thing she did when she got out of the room was take out her phone and call Lin Yi's number. Lin Yi was practicing in his room when his phone suddenly rang. Lin Yi quickly ended his practice and picked up the phone. Zhu, It was Zhu and Lin Yi picked it up. There must be some progress on Qibing's side. Boss, I have something important to report to you. Uncle Zhu said hurriedly. On this side, Zhao Qibing has started his operation. He brought me to the hidden house Yu and captured Yu Ning. Now, Zhao Qibing wants to force himself on her and make it a fact so that the hidden house Yu can't say anything and marry Yu Ning to him. What? Lin Yi was shocked and angered by Uncle Zhu's words. Qibing took Yu Ning away? Lin Yi's mind went blank with a boom. Whatever Uncle Zhu said after that, Lin Yi didn't hear. Lin Yi's thoughts drifted back to that moonlit night many years ago, the Valentine's Day he spent with Yu Ning in the cave. Although Lin Yi's strength had been increasing these days, to the point where he had the tendency to surpass the hidden houses, Lin Yi still felt complicated about the relationship he once rejected. He didn't know how to face it. The love he once missed. Could he really find it again? Lin Yi tried to avoid this question, and he didn't even answer Yu Bing directly. In fact, Lin Yi knew that it was a cowardly act. He didn't dare to face this love that he rejected before it even started. In the end, Lin Yi didn't dare to face the past. He didn't want to go back to his old life. Lin Yi's current life made him feel comfortable. However, just when Lin Yi thought that he would never have anything to do with Yu Ning in this life, Zhu Er's phone call changed the course of his life. This was a girl that he once had feelings for, and it was still engraved in his heart. If childhood playmates were childhood sweethearts, then Yu Ning was Lin Yi's true first love. 16 years old, the first awakening of love. However, Lin Yi thought that this relationship would become an eternal memory, but reality forced Lin Yi to face it again. Zhao Qibing? Did this guy eat a leopard's guts? How could he do something like this? Lin Yi understood that he didn't know about the relationship between him and Yu Ning. Ignorance was bliss, but the hidden house Yu's anger wasn't something that they could face, right?
But
suddenly, Lin Yi remembered Zhu's explanation. Zhao Qibing was a good schemer, wasn't he? He actually came up with a trick like this, forcing the hidden house Yu to suffer in silence. But one had to admit that Zhao Qibing's trick was really effective. After all, the hidden house Yu wouldn't be so shameless to expose this. Instead of a life and death struggle, it was better to sit down and talk peacefully and let Yu Ning marry Zhao Qibing. Boss, if Yu Ning marries Zhao Qibing, then Zhao Qibing will really be the head of the hidden house Zhao. If we want to deal with him, it'll be even harder. After all, he has the hidden house Yu behind him. Chapter 2668. Uncle Zhu thought that Lin Yi was panicking because he thought of this. Should we think of a way to ruin this? We can't let Zhao Qibing get what he wants. Why don't you announce this to the public and embarrass the hidden house Yu and house Zhao? Even if Yu Ning marries Zhao Qibing in the future, the two houses would still hold grudges and wouldn't be able to cooperate with each other. Second brother Zhu, listen to me. No matter what you do, you have to stall for time. You can't let Zhao Qibing get what he wants. You can't even let him touch Yu Ning. Do you understand? Lin Yi didn't have time to explain to second brother Zhu. Okay. Although Uncle Zhu didn't understand why Lin Yi wanted him to stop, he still agreed. He guessed that it was because Lin Yi didn't want this to happen. If it was exposed and Yu Ning didn't suffer any losses, the hidden house Yu would definitely not marry the hidden house Zhao. They might even fight each other. But Uncle Zhu didn't understand. Why couldn't he even touch her? From his point of view, if Zhao Qibing took advantage of her but didn't do anything, the hidden house Yu would be even angrier. It was better than Yu Ning not suffering any losses. But this was Lin Yi's order. Uncle Zhu could only follow it. He was a little worried, but Zhao Qibing isn't an idiot. If I stall for time, what if he doesn't listen to me? If you can't stall for time, it doesn't matter if you expose yourself. Just knock Zhao Qibing out first. Lin Yi said. Uncle Zhu froze. He didn't understand what Lin Yi was thinking. Lin Yi just took him in and made him a spy in the hidden house Zhao. He didn't even have the chance to do anything before he was exposed. This wasn't in Lin Yi's interest, was it? Don't worry if you're exposed. Just follow me. I just need to spread the word, and the hidden house Zhao won't dare to touch you, Lin Yi assured Uncle Zhu. I know. Uncle Zhu knew that Lin Yi was determined to do this. However, Uncle Zhu didn't have to worry about it anymore. It was a good thing to be able to follow Lin Yi at all times. So Uncle Zhu quickly agreed. Where are you? I'll be right there. Lin Yi let out a sigh of relief after giving the order to Uncle Zhu. I'm in the presidential suite number 2909 of the DU Hotel in DU City, near DU Town. Uncle Zhu had already memorized the address and told Lin Yi directly. All right, I got it. Wait for me. After Lin Yi finished speaking, he hurriedly hung up the phone, then pushed the door and walked out of the room. Meng Yao and Yushu were taken aback by Lin Yi's impatience. Lin Yi, what are you doing? Miss looked at Lin Yi strangely and asked. Yao, something happened to my friend. I have to go out now. You and Shu should sleep early. I might not be back tonight, Lin Yi said hurriedly. Okay. Meng Yao saw Lin Yi's anxious look and didn't ask further. Yushu, on the other hand, was puzzled. Yui had just called to ask about Lin Yi's whereabouts. Lin Yi was going out. What was the connection? However, Yushu wouldn't stop Lin Yi from going out. Yui didn't order her to do so. Even if he did, she would find an excuse to avoid it. However, Yushu had a feeling that it had something to do with the hidden house Yu. She didn't know if Lin Yi could solve it. Could he resolve it? Lin Yi didn't go to the yard to drive his car. Instead, he went to the spiritual beast's living area and waved. Phone, come out. Come out and take me to Tu City. From here to Rain City, it would take more than 3 hours by car. Even if Lin Yi was a divine driver, he wouldn't be able to get there in such a short time. It would take at least 2 hours. In this way, there would be more unforeseen events. However, Lin Yi didn't need to drive because he had the Purple Thunderbolt Beast as his trump card. The Purple Thunderbolt Beast's speed was much faster than a car. It even surpassed the speed of most practitioners. Especially when the Purple Thunderbolt Beast's strength was upgraded by Lin Yi to the peak of the late phase of Mystic class. Its speed and stamina were even better. From Donghai City to Rain City in one breath, it was effortless. Usually, Lin Yi didn't use it because it looked too weird. Lin Yi rode it on the street. Wasn't he looking for a crowd? But today, Lin Yi couldn't care too much. Especially since it was evening, there was nothing to avoid. Roar! The Purple Thunderbolt Beast responded and immediately ran to Lin Yi's side. Lin Yi sat directly on its body and let it gallop in the direction of Rain City. Lin Yi didn't know the specific location, but he knew the general direction. On the Purple Thunderbolt Beast, Lin Yi used his mobile phone to open the navigation map. Then, according to the direction of the navigation, he would change the subtle route of the Purple Thunderbolt Beast. The speed of the Purple Thunderbolt Beast could be described as lightning. It was even faster than Lin Yi's butterfly micro-steps. Although the speed of Lin Yi's Qinggong wasn't slow, it was weak in terms of endurance. It was impossible to maintain this speed all the way to Rain City. Even if Lin Yi could use the art of Dragon Mastery to recover his strength, his speed would be much slower than the Purple Thunderbolt Beast. Zhao Qibing, on the other hand, was taking his time to shower. Although he was anxious, he wasn't an impatient fool. He had already started recording. Only if Yuning took the initiative would it work. If he took the initiative, then the recording would be meaningless. So, he had to wait for Yuning's medicine to take effect to the point where it couldn't be controlled. So, Zhao Qibing didn't mind taking a longer bath. He looked at his 2 legs that were getting stronger and stronger. He was very proud. Although these 2 legs had been broken many times ever since he started practicing 1,000 legs, these 2 legs had become like iron legs. He only needed 2 more times to master the first style. Zhao Qibing was looking forward to this moment. It should be known that the 1,000 legs martial skill was very strange. Although it was an internal martial skill, when used, it could achieve the effect of both internal and external cultivation. On one hand, it could create multiple legs, and on the other hand, each leg would be as hard as the external iron leg technique. It could be said that although this martial skill was difficult to practice, it would also bring many advantages to successfully practice it. Uncle Zhu had been waiting anxiously outside the room, paying attention to the movements inside the room. However, Zhao Qibing was still showering, which made Uncle Zhu feel relieved. The longer he showered, the better. This way, Uncle Zhu wouldn't have to think of ways to delay the time. Chapter 2669. Finally, Zhao Qibing finished his shower and walked out of the bathroom. He glanced at Yuning on the bed and realized that she was still unconscious. There was nothing wrong with her body, so the effect of the drug hadn't taken effect yet. But it was no wonder. Yuning was unconscious and lying on the bed, so it was reasonable that the effect of the drug was slower than normal people. Zhao Qibing was a little anxious, but he knew that he couldn't rush it. He said helplessly, "Uncle Zhu." "Master Bing, what's the matter?" Uncle Zhu was standing at the door of the inner room. He heard Zhao Qibing's call and immediately pushed the door open. "Uncle Zhu, the drug hasn't taken effect yet." "I'm fine, talk to me," Zhao Qibing said. "All right." Uncle Zhu looked at Yuning on the bed and let out a sigh of relief. He said, "Master Bing, there's a saying, a good meal isn't too late. To be safe, you should wait for the drug to take effect completely. It won't be too late then. Otherwise, even if you record it, it won't look like it's real." "I know," Zhao Qibing nodded. "That's why I called you here to talk to me." "Oh, right. Master Bing, although this is an aphrodisiac, what if Yuning resists it? You know that some strong-willed people won't give in easily. What if she keeps resisting?" Uncle Zhu was trying to scare Zhao Qibing, hoping that he could delay the plan. "So, I think that after this medicine takes effect, when the effects are fully unleashed, when Yuning asks for it, you can step in." Uncle Zhu was trying to scare Zhao Qibing. "That's not a problem. You don't need to worry. Let me tell you, the Medicine King's medicine is very powerful. After taking it, the person will enter a semi-dazed state of fantasy. Everything she sees is not real, and she will temporarily enter an illusory world. She will imagine me as the man she likes. This way, she will be very natural and obedient, as if she's asking for it. There won't be any flaws." Zhao Qibing said, "After it's done, even if she finds out that something is wrong, we have the video. If she insists that she took the initiative, the hidden house you can only admit defeat." "I see. This drug is so powerful," Uncle Zhu exclaimed. "That's right, it's pretty amazing. Don't you know who made it?" Qibing said proudly. Time passed by, and Yuning's face gradually became a little ruddy. This was a sign of the effect of the potion. Now it had been half an hour since Uncle Zhu called Lin Yi. Uncle Zhu was extremely anxious. The medicine was about to take effect. Zhao Qibing wanted to raise his spear as well, but Lin Yi wasn't there yet. Left with no choice, Uncle Zhu had to do it himself. In fact, Lin Yi had already reached the vicinity of Rain City and was rushing over. The purple electric tempest beast was already very fast. Lin Yi did not stop for even a moment. "Xiaofeng, come on, we're almost there." Roar, roar. The purple lightning tempest beast let out a low roar of victory. Its speed actually increased a little. Lin Yi guessed that it felt that it was about to reach the destination and exploded. In the hotel room, Yuning's breathing began to quicken. She woke up from her coma. Her eyes became blurred, and her delicate face turned into a cooked crab shell. A very strange desire made her moan uncontrollably. Yuning was a little shy. She didn't know what happened to her. She remembered that she was walking and chatting with her cousin Yushan. The next moment, she didn't know anything. In the blink of an eye, she appeared in a strange place. Yuning wasn't young anymore. Naturally, she knew what this feeling meant. Sometimes, she would have wet dreams, and this feeling was similar to the one she had. Yuning's current situation made Zhao Qibing overjoyed. He took a deep breath and turned to Uncle Zhu. "Uncle Zhu, I'm going to fight. Wait at the door for me. Don't let anyone in." "Yes," Uncle Zhu replied nonchalantly, but in his heart, he was very anxious. Lin Yi didn't come, so he could only prepare to fight. Uncle Zhu retreated to the door and prepared to wait for Lin Yi. However, he was also paying attention to Zhao Qibing. If Zhao Qibing made a move, he would go over and knock him out. But there was still some time left. The potion in Yuning's body had just started to take effect. Before Zhao Qibing really took action, he could still delay for a few minutes. In fact, Zhao Qibing was also waiting for Yuning to take the initiative to summon him. If he wanted to put on a show, he had to go all the way. Even if he was hungry, he couldn't wait any longer. Yuning vaguely felt that someone came into the room. She turned her head and looked at Zhao Qibing. In her eyes, Zhao Qibing wasn't Zhao Qibing. He had transformed into Lin Yi. This was the effect of the potion. Seeing Lin Yi, Yuning was happy. She didn't expect to see Lin Yi here. Was she dreaming? Yuning felt that it wasn't realistic. She was still at home just a moment ago. How could she see Lin Yi in a daze? So, all of this could only be explained by a dream. It seemed that she really missed Lin Yi so much that she saw him in a dream. However, even if it was a dream, Yuning didn't want to miss this opportunity. She couldn't see Lin Yi in reality, so she could only meet Lin Yi in her dreams. Because she thought it was a dream, Yuning forgot her shyness. It wasn't the first time she had this kind of wet dream anyway. She had already done something with Lin Yi before. Come. Yuning wanted to get up and greet Lin Yi, but she felt that her body was a little heavy. So, she greeted Lin Yi. Hee beauty, I'm here. Zhao Qibing heard Yuning take the initiative to call him. He suddenly smiled from ear to ear. This potion was really powerful. When he went back, he would praise Yao Wang. Uncle Zhu was at the door. His hand was already on the door. If Zhao Qibing really dared to touch Yuning, he would rush in. Come. Yuning saw that Lin Yi was giggling there. He didn't come over. She was a little anxious and said, "What are you standing there for? Hurry up and come over, I miss you." Hee, I'm coming. Zhao Qibing couldn't resist the temptation anymore and rushed towards Yuning. Lin Yi, slow down. Yuning saw that Lin Yi was so anxious. She couldn't help but laugh, but she wasn't annoyed. She was happy for her charm. Chapter 2670. Bang! At the same time, Uncle Zhu pushed the door open and rushed in. Since Zhao Qibing was going to fight, he naturally had to make a move. Yuning's words about Lin Yi scared Zhao Qibing. He stopped in his tracks and looked left and right. What Lin Yi? Where was Lin Yi? In the next moment, Uncle Zhu burst the door open. Zhao Qibing thought that Lin Yi was really here, and he fell on his butt. However, when he turned around and saw Uncle Zhu, he couldn't help but be furious. What are you doing? Why did you rush in? Are you trying to scare me to death? Uncle Zhu's heart was racing. He didn't know if he should expose himself, but he heard Yuning calling for Lin Yi. He thought of a solution. Master Bing, I heard her calling for Lin Yi and thought that Lin Yi was here. I was scared, so I rushed in to protect you. You heard it too? Zhao Qibing thought that he heard it wrong because from his point of view, Yuning and Lin Yi shouldn't have any interaction. Yuning rarely went out and Lin Yi didn't have a good relationship with the hidden house Yu, so it was impossible for him to visit them. He thought that he heard it wrong, but he didn't expect Uncle Zhu to hear it too. Yes. Uncle Zhu quickly nodded. That's why I thought that Lin Yi was here. He's not here. It's fine now, you can leave first. Zhao Qibing frowned and waved his hand, signaling Uncle Zhu to leave. Oh. Okay. Uncle Zhu succeeded in delaying the time and made Zhao Qibing hesitate again. He was happy that his identity wasn't exposed. Uncle Zhu left the room and continued to monitor Zhao Qibing's every move. This time, Zhao Qibing was obviously hesitant. He looked at Yuning with uncertainty. He didn't dare to move forward. What? What did you call me? Qibing asked carefully. However, the drugged Yuning couldn't hear what Qibing was saying at all. She could only vaguely feel that Qibing was a person. Her sight and hearing were all in her own imaginary world, the conversation between Qibing and Uncle Zhu. She didn't hear it either. Uncle Zhu's appearance was transformed by Yuning into a hotel waiter, so Yuning said, Lin Yi, was that a waiter from the hotel? What is he doing here? Zhao Qibing heard it clearly this time. Yuning was indeed calling Lin Yi's name. His back was a little cold, and his forehead was full of cold sweat. He was a little timid.
Yes.
If someone from the hidden house you appeared, Zhao Qibing wouldn't be so timid, but the name Lin Yi had left a shadow in his heart. He heard Yuning call Lin Yi. He knew that Lin Yi was Yuning's sweetheart. He was so scared that his legs were cramping, and he almost kneeled on the ground, shouting, "The person you like is Lin Yi?" Yuning was still in her own fantasy world. Due to the effect of the aphrodisiac, Yuning's fantasy was inevitably a little ambiguous. Yuning heard Zhao Qibing's version of Lin Yi, and she naturally heard it as, "I asked the waiter to send condoms."
Then,
Yuning's face turned red, and she was a little shy. "There's no need for condoms. It's just a dream anyway, I won't get pregnant." Zhao Qibing's eyes widened. He didn't know what Yuning was talking about. Could it be that Yuning's fantasy was different from what he said? It must be like this. Zhao Qibing had never used this aphrodisiac before. Today was the first time he used it, so he wasn't particularly familiar with the effects of the aphrodisiac.
Lin Yi.
"What are you doing? Come quickly, I miss you." If Yuning was in reality, she definitely wouldn't be able to say such bold words, but she thought she was dreaming, so she was naturally bold. Zhao Qibing looked at Yuning on the bed, gritted his teeth, and stomped his feet. Thinking of his future, thinking of his deep hatred with Lin Yi, he finally made a difficult decision, and that was to rush up. Anyway, the rice was cooked, so what if Lin Yi was angry? At that time, he would be married to the hidden house Yu, and Yuning would be his woman. What was there to be afraid of? Moreover, Yuning's words also reminded Zhao Qibing that if this time Yuning was pregnant with his child, then Yuning would stand on his side. Why would he be afraid of Lin Yi? Thinking of this, Zhao Qibing decided to fight. Just as he was about to rush over, he heard a loud bang behind him. Zhao Qibing was so scared that his heart almost fell out. He turned around and saw Uncle Zhu rushing in, standing at the door. "Fuck, Uncle Zhu, are you crazy? What do you want?" Zhao Qibing was furious. What was wrong with Uncle Zhu today? Was he trying to scare him to death? Uncle Zhu was nervous. Why wasn't Lin Yi here yet? But it couldn't be helped. Since he had followed Lin Yi, there was no point in hesitating. He took a deep breath and decided to knock Zhao Qibing out. Just when he was about to rush over, a voice came from behind him that made him elated. "I kicked him in." Lin Yi appeared at the door, and with one kick, he sent Uncle Zhu flying. He landed in the room, unconscious. Lin Yi. Zhao Qibing saw Lin Yi behind Uncle Zhu, and his legs started shaking. He didn't suspect Uncle Zhu anymore. From his point of view, it was Lin Yi who kicked Uncle Zhu in. "Zhao Qibing, you've got guts. Do you know who she is?" Lin Yi looked at Yuning, who was on the bed. Her clothes were still intact, and he breathed a sigh of relief. But seeing Yuning panting, he knew that the drug had taken effect. If he was one step late, it would be troublesome. At the very least, Uncle Zhu would be exposed. Isn't she Yuning from the hidden house Yu? Zhao Qibing stuttered. "Lin Yi, what are you doing here? This has nothing to do with you, right? Don't you have a grudge against the hidden house Yu?" "Yes, but I'll tell you now. Why do I have a grudge against the hidden house Yu?" Lin Yi looked at Zhao Qibing and said faintly, "Yuning was my first love, and my identity at that time wasn't good enough for her. So I have a grudge against the hidden house Yu, do you understand?" Chapter 2671. Since Lin Yi was here today, naturally, he was ready to face the past and face his relationship with Yuning. So, Lin Yi told Qibing the truth. "Huh?" Qibing froze, dumbfounded. He didn't think that Lin Yi and Yuning had this kind of relationship. He wasn't afraid when he kidnapped Yuning, but now that he knew that Yuning was Lin Yi's woman, he was really scared. Lin Yi boss, I didn't know about this. Since she's your girl, I'm leaving. There's nothing for me to do here anymore. She drank the aphrodisiac. Lin boss, you'll definitely feel good later. You're leaving just like that? Do you think that's possible? Lin looked at Qibing with a smile that didn't look like a smile. Ugh. Then you can punish me. Break my legs, I'll definitely stand here, and let you hit me. Qibing said. Break your legs? Oh, that works too. Lin suddenly extended his leg and kicked between Qibing's legs.
Bang. Ouch.
Qibing screamed in pain as he flew backwards. Lin, where did you kick? Qibing was in so much pain that he was about to die. Your legs, didn't you tell me to break your legs? I'll break your third leg. Lin said faintly. You? Qibing was furious after hearing Lin Yi's words, but he didn't dare to get angry. He could only swallow his anger. Zhu, don't play dead. I didn't kick you to death. Hurry up and get Qibing out of here. Lin turned to Uncle Zhu, who was in the corner of the room.
Ah.
Okay. Uncle Zhu crawled up shakily and picked up Qibing in fear. He walked towards the door timidly. He hadn't been exposed yet. Naturally, he was still Qibing's lackey on the surface. Zhao Qibing couldn't stand the pain, but he was a practitioner and didn't faint. He regretted letting Lin break his leg. Who would have thought that Lin would break his third leg? What a cheap mouth. He was so cheap that he became a eunuch. However, although Zhao Qibing was angry, he didn't dare to show anything inappropriate on the surface. He was afraid that Lin would break his other parts out of anger. Although he was happy to break his legs, what if Lin didn't break his legs? So Zhao Qibing didn't dare to take the risk. He carefully fell into Uncle Zhu's arms and pretended to be dead. Uncle Zhu carried Zhao Qibing and left the hotel in a flash. But when he left, he closed the door tightly for Lin. After Qibing and Uncle Zhu left, Lin looked at the bed. Yu Ning, who was in the middle of the aphrodisiac, had a complicated feeling. He didn't know what to do. Should he go with the flow and accept the fact, or should he help Yu Ning get rid of the aphrodisiac? An aphrodisiac concocted by Yao Wang. Lin could still get rid of it. This was the reason why Lin was in a dilemma. If Lin couldn't get rid of the aphrodisiac, Lin could lie to himself and do it. Anyway, he would comfort himself that this aphrodisiac was incurable. If he didn't do it, Yu Ning's life would be in danger. However, Lin Yi's medical skills were superb. It wasn't a problem for him to get rid of the aphrodisiac. So Lin was hesitant. He didn't know if he should advance or retreat. He looked at Yu Ning on the bed. Lin fell into a trance. It was as if he had returned to that Valentine's Day night. The romantic night he spent with Yu Ning in the wild cave. At that time, Lin was worried about the difference between his identity and Yu Ning's identity. Thinking that he didn't have a fixed place to live, he couldn't give the high and mighty hidden house Yu's little princess a stable life, so Lin made up his mind to reject Yu Ning's confession. However, after some time, Lin had the strength to look down on all the ordinary houses. He had the strength to compete with the hidden houses. At this time, the gap between him and Yu Ning was no longer a gap. So what if it was the hidden house Yu? The hidden house Han, hidden house Pai, and hidden house Zhuang had become his underlings. Even if the hidden house Yu was one of the most powerful hidden houses, but as the saying goes, 2 heads are better than 1. He had 3 underlings from the hidden houses. Adding them together, wouldn't it be enough to fight against the hidden house Yu? As he thought of all these things, Lin suddenly felt much more at ease. Moreover, since Lin could choose to appear here and say those words to Zhao Qibing, in fact, deep in his heart, Lin had recognized Yu Ning's identity. He had reevaluated his previous relationship. Thinking of this, Lin took a deep breath and decided to make the best of it. In fact, this was also the best way to ease the distance between him and Yu Ning. It was the best way to get back to the feelings they once had. Otherwise, Lin really didn't know how to find an entry point after Yu Ning woke up and let their relationship return to that time. And now, Zhao Qibing had created such a good opportunity for Lin. If Lin missed it, it would be a little disappointing for God's arrangement. What did you do to Lin? Just when Lin decided to make the best of it and do something with Yu Ning, Yuning looked at Lin Yi in horror and asked. Originally, she was imagining that Lin Yi would come over and be intimate with her. Suddenly, another person came into the room and kicked Lin Yi down. After that, Lin Yi was carried away by the hotel staff. This made Yuning shocked and angry. Looking closely, this person was actually Yang Huaijuan. And so, Yuning was even angrier. Yang bro, how can you be like this? What did you do to Lin Yi? Yuning couldn't be blamed for recognizing the wrong person. After the drug took effect, Yuning first thought that Zhao Qibing was Lin Yi, and in her mind, Zhao Qibing was Lin Yi. After the real Lin Yi appeared, it was impossible for Yuning to see the two people in front of her as Lin Yi. Because of the effect of the drug, although Yuning found Lin Yi familiar, she turned Lin Yi's image into another acquaintance, Yang Huaijuan. Lin Yi was about to rush over, and was somewhat puzzled by Yuning's question. What did she do to Lin Yi? What, Yang bro? Yang bro, where's Lin Yi's? Yuning saw that Lin Yi didn't answer, and suddenly became a little anxious. The inexplicable desire in her body was getting stronger and stronger. She was about to be intimate with Lin Yi, but was interrupted by Yang Huaijuan. How could she not be angry? Chapter 2672. However, in Yuning's ears, it wasn't the case. What are you doing? Don't come over. Big brother Yang, I have always treated you as a brother. Don't joke around. It wasn't strange that Yuning would say this. In fact, Yang Huaijuan also had some interest in Yuning, but at that time Yuning chose Lin Yi, so he didn't say these words and buried them in his heart. This was also the reason why Lin Yi said those words to Yang Huaijuan when they first met. And Yuning naturally knew this. At that time, Yuning also saw Yang Huaijuan's feelings for her, but they both understood that the two could only maintain the relationship of brother and sister. Lin Yi was even more shocked. How did he become Big Brother Yang? Yuning was confused. However, Lin Yi thought that Yuning was under Zhao Qibing's aphrodisiac, so it was normal for her to be confused. However, what did Yuning think of him as Big Brother Yang? Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He could only stop his next action, pointed to himself and asked Yuning, "Who am I?" "Brother Jun, you said that Lin Yi had something to do and left first?" Yuning still couldn't hear what Lin Yi said. She was just confused. Lin Yi understood at this time that Yuning thought of him as Yang Huaijuan. "Brother Jun, Yuning's desire was getting more and more serious, but the person she liked was Lin Yi. In the face of Yang Huaijuan, she really didn't know what to say. Yuning said shyly, "Can you help me find Lin Yi and bring him back?" Lin Yi listened to Yuning's words, and at this time, he guessed something. He was afraid that the aphrodisiac that Zhao Qibing used was a drug that could cause people to be in an illusion, and Yuning must have thought that Zhao Qibing was Lin Yi, and because of the first impression, Yuning thought that he was Yang Huaijuan. Lin Yi was speechless at the thought of this. This Zhao Qibing was such a scammer. Originally, Lin Yi wanted to do something with Yuning, but now that Yuning thought of him as Yang Huaijuan, there was no way they could do anything. If he forcibly pushed Yuning down, Yuning might do something extreme. So Lin Yi had to give up his previous idea. "I'll help you detoxify the poison. Lin Yi will be back soon." Lin Yi sighed and cursed Zhao Qibing in his heart. He had finally made up his mind to push Yuning down, and this kid actually made such a fucking potion. Lin Yi felt that breaking his third leg was already a light punishment. Lin Yi even wanted to break all the bones in his body so that he could practice 1,000 kicks. Practicing 1,000 bones was more like it. Lin Yi took out the silver needles from his pocket and used his pure qi to disinfect them. Then, he sat on Yuning's bed and quickly put the needles on her body. But even so, Lin Yi still inevitably touched the sensitive parts of Yuning's body. After all, the aphrodisiac made by Yao Wang was nothing in Lin Yi's eyes, but it was much stronger than other ordinary aphrodisiacs. If Lin Yi did not cooperate with acupoint massage and only used acupuncture, the toxins would not be discharged quickly. Yuning just wanted to stop Yang Huaijuan from raping her, but she saw Yang Huaijuan take out the silver needles for acupuncture, and the desire in her body also reduced a lot when his silver needles were inserted into her body. However, even so, Yuning also wanted to resist. She wanted to push Yang Huaijuan's hand away and let him not touch her, but she had no strength at all and could only let it go. Yuning didn't know what Yang Huaijuan wanted to do, but she was powerless to resist. The desire in her body made her very uncomfortable. She could only clench her teeth, close her eyes, and not think about it. But in her heart, she was praying that Lin Yi could come back soon and stop Yang Huaijuan's behavior. Although Yuning thought that Yang Huaijuan would not do anything wretched, no matter what, his hand touched her, and Yuning really didn't want this. Even if it was a dream, she didn't want this. What kind of dream was this? This dream was simply a nightmare. Yuning prayed for Lin Yi to come back quickly, and prayed for this dream to wake up as soon as possible. If Lin Yi didn't come back, then it was better to wake up because there was no happiness in the dream. However, as time passed, Yuning found that the desire in her body was getting lighter and lighter, and her thoughts seemed to be getting clearer and clearer. It seemed like she wasn't very confused, nor was she very sleepy. This doesn't seem to be a dream. As Yuning's thoughts gradually became clearer, Yuning also restored her former shrewdness. She knew that when people were dreaming, they should not think that they were dreaming, and her current feeling didn't seem to be a dream. When Yang Huaijuan's silver needle pierced her body, although it wasn't particularly painful, there was still a feeling of pain. She heard that in a dream, you don't feel pain, so Yuning was a bit strange. Was this not a dream? Thinking of this, Yuning suddenly opened her eyes. She wanted to scold Yang Huaijuan and ask him not to touch her. However, when she opened her eyes and saw Yang Huaijuan, she didn't see the previous Yang Huaijuan, but a vague but somewhat familiar figure. This figure, as the scene in front of Yuning changed, became more and more clear.
It was Lin Yi.
It was actually Lin Yi. How could it be? Obviously, it was Yang Huaijuan who came before. How did it suddenly become Lin Yi? Yuning was a little dumbfounded. However, although her thoughts were restored, her speech and mobility, with the discharge of the potion toxins in her body, also lost a lot of physical strength, so she couldn't speak anymore. In fact, this was also a matter that couldn't be helped. Lin Yi gathered the potion toxins in Yuning's body through acupuncture and massage, and then excreted from the body. However, it was inevitable that he had to use Yuning's own physical strength to complete the process. Originally, Yuning was burning with desire and consumed a lot of physical strength, and now it was even more so it caused her to have no strength at all. As the potion toxins in Yuning's body were getting less and less, Yuning was more awake, and the memories that were created before also became a reality. This was the situation that would occur after the effect of the potion, that is, the things that you saw and heard before will be released from the memory, and the illusory scenes will also be distinguished by the person involved. Chapter 2673. Moreover, from Yaowang's point of view, girls were just like that. Even if the first time was given to someone she didn't like, as long as the person put in some effort, it was possible to capture her heart. Letting her remember the truth of the previous process was also the purpose. When Yuning found out that the person she had a relationship with was Zhao Qibing, she might even fall in love with him. But now, Yuning's mind was replaying the scene like a movie. Lin Yi was restored to Zhao Qibing, the waiter was restored to Zhao Qibing's follower, and Yang Huaijuan was actually the real Lin Yi. The reason why she was like this was because of Zhao Qibing's aphrodisiac. Yuning, who knew the truth, was ashamed and angry. The real Lin Yi was clearly in front of her, and he wanted to do something with her, but she rejected him. And in her heart, she was thinking about the fake Lin Yi. Really? Zhao Qibing, you bastard. Yuning was getting more and more awake, and more regretful. She wanted Lin Yi to stop giving her the antidote and continue doing what they were doing, but she didn't have the strength to speak. Of course, even if she had the strength, Yuning knew that this was reality, and she couldn't make up her mind to do this. Although she liked Lin Yi, she also knew her mission and future. Before the plan started, she had to maintain her virginity. Although Yuning didn't know what the plan was, the old ancestor of House Yu and Yu Shaochen had warned her more than once, telling her not to be impulsive. Of course, with too many warnings, Yuning would rebel and say, "I'll break with Lin Yi." So what? This also caused the hidden House Yu to guard against Lin Yi like a thief. Fire, theft, and Lin Yi became the hidden House Yu's motto and safety slogan all these years, putting Yuning in a state of semi-house arrest. In fact, sometimes Yuning regretted it. If it wasn't for her rebellious youth and saying such words, the hidden House Yu wouldn't have guarded her like this, guarding against Lin Yi like a thief. They couldn't let the hidden House Yu kill Lin Yi whenever they had the chance. No one knew that the hidden House Yu's old ancestor was so determined to kill Lin Yi because of Yuning's words. Even if Yuning explained afterwards, the old ancestor didn't believe her and was still very wary of Lin Yi, afraid that Lin Yi would ruin his plan. After Lin Yi removed all the toxins from Yuning's body, he put away the silver needles on her body. However, Yuning's body was sweating, and the excreted potions were all over her body, emitting a foul smell. After putting away the silver needles, Lin Yi stood up, turned around, and walked out of the room. Yuning saw that Lin Yi was leaving and wanted to stop him, but because of her weak body, she couldn't say half a word. Looking at Lin Yi's figure disappear at the door of the room, Yuning was suddenly very disappointed. In fact, Lin Yi didn't want to leave, but to find a dry towel. He went to the wardrobe in the outer room, opened it, took out a dry towel from inside, and then turned and walked into the inner room again. Yuning saw that Lin Yi had returned, and she was very surprised. After Lin Yi came over, he lifted Yuning's clothes and helped her wipe her body. Just now, he had touched her body, and Lin Yi didn't care anymore. Anyway, he had decided to face this former love head-on, and he would no longer have any scruples. Yuning was wiped by Lin Yi, and her heart was both shy and warm. Yuning closed her eyes and quietly enjoyed the warmth of this moment. Lin Yi naturally didn't know that Yuning had regained her consciousness. He thought that she was in an illusion, so he didn't talk to her. After all, Lin Yi didn't know how long the Medicine King's potion could last. Lin Yi only expelled most of the potion from Yuning's body. There must be a small part remaining, and this part, Lin Yi didn't care about it. With the passage of time, it would be turned into urine and excreted. It didn't have much impact on the body, so there was no need to rush to expel it. This didn't seem like poison. If it was poison, Lin Yi could only do the same thing he did to the miss, and let Yuning force the poison out of her body. After wiping Yuning's body, Lin Yi stood up again. Yuning thought that Lin Yi was really going to leave this time. She wanted to stop him, but her weak body still made her unable to speak. Lin Yi didn't actually want to leave, but went to the bathroom, washed the towel with water, and then walked back again, ready to wipe Yuning's body with a wet towel again. Yuning saw that Lin Yi came back again, and her heart was surprised. But this time, Yuning's physical strength had recovered a little, so her surprised facial expression betrayed her sober state at this moment. "You're awake?" Lin Yi's footsteps stagnated, and he was a little embarrassed. He held the towel in his hand, but he didn't know if he should continue to help Yuning wipe her body. Because Lin Yi didn't know if Yuning still had the previous memory, and even if she did, Yuning thought that he was Yang Huaijuan, which made Lin Yi very embarrassed. And Yuning was also a little embarrassed. Her situation was seen by Lin Yi. Naturally, she couldn't continue to pretend to be confused. But when she thought that she rejected Lin Yi as Yang Huaijuan, Yuning was a little mad. Even if she didn't have anything to do with Lin Yi, kissing and hugging would be fine, but now, "Oh, it's good that you're awake." However, Lin Yi was a little surprised. Yuning saw him, but why wasn't she surprised at all? It was reasonable to say that Yuning should be very surprised. Did she think that he was Yang Huaijuan? Thinking of this situation, Lin Yi suddenly felt that it was very possible, so he pointed to his nose and asked, "Who am I?" When Yuning heard Lin Yi's question, her little face suddenly turned red, but this question had to be answered, so Yuning said shyly, "Lin Yi, I'm sorry before I..." I didn't know it was you. Ugh. Then you knew after that? After listening to Yuning's answer, Lin Yi was slightly stunned. But then he asked, you woke up after that? You woke up before that? And I didn't have the strength to speak before. I'm sorry.
Yuning was very apologetic.
She felt that Lin Yi's heart should be very hurt. It was not easy for him to take the initiative, but she ruthlessly rejected him. I really didn't mean it before. I ate Zhao Qibing's potion, and I imagined him to be you. After you came in, I thought you were Yang Huaijuan. Chapter 2674. Reunion after a long separation. However, after saying this sentence, Lin Yi didn't know what to say. After all, the two people hadn't seen each other for a long time. If something happened before, it wouldn't be so awkward. But nothing happened, and there was some misunderstanding. This made Lin Yi really feel speechless. Long time no see. Long time no see. After a moment of silence, the two people didn't expect to speak at the same time and said the same sentence, which made both of them a little surprised. However, after saying this sentence, the two people really didn't know what to say. The current situation was different from usual. Lin Yi just helped Yuning detoxify, and Yuning was kidnapped by Zhao Qibing. Lin Yi didn't know what to talk about after thinking about it. Lin Yi could only politely say, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" What Lin Yi didn't expect was that Yuning actually asked this question at the same time. This made Lin Yi a little funny, and Yuning naturally thought the same. She originally wanted to ease the awkward atmosphere between the two people, but she didn't expect Lin Yi to say the same thing as her. However, this really eased the atmosphere between the two people, and the two people couldn't help but smile at each other. Well, I'm fine, but not too well. Yuning really didn't think that she would see Lin Yi again in such a situation. Originally, she thought that it would be difficult for her to see Lin Yi, but she didn't expect that in her most critical moment, Lin Yi would appear again just like before. On the night that she was most afraid of, Lin Yi gave her warmth and let her spend a peaceful Valentine's Day. Out of the longing for Lin Yi and the nostalgia for the past, Yuning unconsciously opened the chatterbox and began to tell Lin Yi about her longing for Lin Yi, especially when she thought of the overbearing words that Lin Yi said to Zhao Qibing when he first entered the door. It made Yuning secretly happy. It seemed that Lin Yi still liked her, and his feelings had never changed. So, after a short period of silence, the words that Yuning had kept in her heart for the past few years gushed out like a flood opening the floodgates. Lin Yi, do you know how much I've missed you all these years? From that time, when my brother Yang told me about your reappearance, do you know how excited I was? I wanted to come and see you so badly. Yuning began to talk about her longing for Lin Yi. Once the chatterbox was opened, it was hard to stop. After that, I've been paying attention to your news through my brother until you went to the Ice Palace together to participate in the test. Do you know I was happy and worried at the same time? My brother said that you lost your strength, and I was like a headless fly, trying to get some treasures for you from home, but the next day, I heard from my brother that you recovered your strength, and I was so happy. You defeated Zhang Naipeo and Feng Nitian, two masters from the ancient level. I was happy for your strength, but I was also afraid that the power behind them would cause trouble for you. But now, it seems that they didn't do that, which made me feel relieved. It's just that when I found out that you went to the Ice Palace for your girlfriend, I felt sad, but also happy for her. You were willing to take such a risk for her. Do you know how envious, jealous, and hateful I will be in the days to come? But today, I don't envy them anymore because when I was in danger, you came too, which means that in your heart, I am as important as her. Yuning was born in the Hidden House U, and the concept of monogamy wasn't very clear. After all, she grew up in a family with 3 wives and 4 concubines. She didn't think that Lin Yi having a girlfriend had any conflict with her. She was just happy that Lin Yi still remembered her. Ha! Lin Yi smiled. Your position in my heart is actually very special. Although I can't say that you are more important than Xiao Xiao, you are still unique.
And
Yuning was already very happy that Lin Yi said that, but after that, my brother stayed in the Ice Palace, and I didn't have any news about you. My family didn't tell me about your situation, and they didn't tell me about you. It seems that they still don't agree with me being with you. Right, you already know about my background, right? Before, Lin Yi wasn't very clear about the concept of noble houses and hidden houses. When he was training with Yu Ning, he only knew that Yu Ning's house Yu was very powerful, but he didn't know much about it. That was why Yu Ning asked this question. After all, when Lin Yi participated in the Ice Palace test, he couldn't fight against the hidden houses at all. Later, when Lin Yi was injured, House Yu sent people to kill Lin Yi, so in Yu Ning's impression, it was impossible for Lin Yi to fight against the hidden House Yu. The young miss of the hidden House Yu, Lin Yi said. However, Lin Yi was a bit confused. Why would the old ancestor of House Yu object to Yu Ning being with him? The strength that Lin Yi displayed now was enough to make most of the hidden houses lower their heads. Even if the hidden House Yu was stronger and didn't lower their heads in front of Lin Yi, there was no need to go against them. It was better to rope them in. Marrying Yu Ning over was actually the best way to ease the relationship between the hidden House Yu and Lin Yi. From Lin Yi's point of view, the hidden houses were more conservative, and they valued men over women. If they could rope him in, it would be reasonable for them to give up their daughter, right? Yu Yuxing could marry his daughter to Zhao Guangyin. Why couldn't he marry Lin Yi? This was something that Lin Yi didn't understand. No matter what, he was much stronger than that useless Zhao Guangyin, right? Then, what is your strength now? Yu Ning saw that Lin Yi didn't have any special expression and was a bit disappointed. She thought that Lin Yi was still the same as before, afraid of the hidden House Yu's power. Earth-class middle phase peak, Lin Yi said. Ah, you're already Earth-class middle phase peak? Yu Ning's eyes widened. She couldn't believe it. Lin Yi's leveling speed was actually this fast. At the time of the Ice Palace's trial, Lin Yi was only Mystic Class late phase. How did he reach Earth-class middle phase peak so fast? It's not that fast, not as fast as the disciples of the noble houses. Lin Yi laughed at himself. That Zhao Qibing, at first, was just an ordinary garbage person, but after eating a lot of elixirs, he forcefully increased his strength to Earth-class early phase, and he could even practice martial arts. It only took a few months. Chapter 2675. That requires elixirs. Actually, not all hidden houses have elixirs in stock. They need to buy from the ancient sects. Yu Ning said. Haha, I understand. Lin Yi didn't think much of it. Wasn't he selling large amounts of elixirs to the hidden houses? Zhao Qibing's current strength was probably because he ate the elixirs Lin Yi sold, so Lin Yi had to thank him for his contribution to Xiaoka's orphanage. Right, do you have any contact with the disciples of the hidden houses? Yu Ning was concerned about Lin Yi's current status. If Lin Yi could become good friends with the disciples of the hidden houses, just like with Yu Bing, then there would be less resistance for them to be together in the future. Even if they couldn't be together now, but after that incident, Yu Ning would be able to be together with Lin Yi after she completed her mission. The disciples of the hidden houses? Are they alright? Lin Yi smiled. I have a good relationship with the hidden House Pai, House Han, and House Zhuang. Well, that's good. If you are good friends with the children of these families, then my grandfather will definitely look at you differently in the future, Yu Ning said. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Yu Ning was naive. The disciples of the hidden houses were not just good friends of Lin Yi. They were Lin Yi's lackeys. Even their elders were following Lin Yi around. How could the old ancestor of House Yu not see it? Under these circumstances, he still didn't extend an olive branch to Lin Yi. This meant that the hidden House Yu either had a stronger backer or had some unspeakable reason. Right now, Lin Yi was standing at the top of the hidden houses, at least on the surface, but the old ancestor of House Yu still treated Lin Yi like this. There must be something wrong. It was just that Lin Yi couldn't explain these things to Yu Ning. There were some things that she might not know. Who knew what the hidden House Yu was planning? Just like the hidden House Zhao. They didn't have any backing, but they kept going against him. As for Zhao Qibing, Lin Yi was helpless. According to Lin Yi, he should have killed Zhao Qibing earlier, but Lin Yi couldn't do that. His rationality overcame his impulsiveness. If Lin Yi killed Zhao Qibing, then it would break the peace between the hidden houses and Lin Yi. Among the hidden houses, Lin Yi didn't have a lot of support. At least, he had enmity with the hidden house Yu, the hidden house Yu, the hidden house Zhao, and the Qianshan sect. If Lin Yi killed Zhao Qibing, then the other hidden houses would be in danger. If they really joined forces, Lin Yi wouldn't be a match at all. Lin Yi was one of them. He knew his own business. Although Lin Yi looked strong on the surface and could easily kill Sky-class masters, that was only based on sneak attacks. He couldn't do continuous sneak attacks, so Lin Yi had been very careful. While he was threatening the hidden houses, he didn't touch their bottom line. If he made a move on one of them, they might join forces to fight against him. But if he didn't make a move on one of them, they would only care about their own matters. They wouldn't easily join forces. This was also the reason why Lin Yi let Zhao Qibing go. But this time, Lin Yi didn't let Zhao Qibing go easily. His third leg, even if Yao Wang wanted to heal it, it would take a lot of effort. "It's almost time. I'll send you home," Lin Yi said when he saw that Yuning's spirit was getting better. Go home. Yuning wanted to spend more time with Lin Yi, but she suddenly remembered that she was caught by Lin Yi. Her family must be panicking. Also, if her grandpa came and saw her together with Lin Yi, what if he misunderstood something and killed Lin Yi in anger? Thinking of this, Yuning quickly nodded. "Lin Yi, will you contact me often in the future?" "Of course, I will tell you my phone number. You can call me at any time," Lin Yi said with a smile. "Well, okay. I will call you when I have the chance." Yuning nodded happily. "Pack up, I'll send you back," Lin Yi said. "En? You want to send me?" Before, Lin Yi said that he would send her home. Yuning thought she heard wrong, but Lin Yi said it again. Yuning was sure that she didn't hear wrong, so she was a little confused. "Is what you said true?"
What's so strange about this?
Lin Yi was also stunned, but he didn't think too much about it. "If you go to my house, aren't you afraid that my dad and my grandpa will leave you there? Do you really dare to go back with me?" Yuning stared at Lin Yi incredulously. She really couldn't understand why Lin Yi dared to go back with her. Wasn't he afraid of seeing his family? "Maybe I didn't dare to go before, but now it doesn't matter. If I stay, your grandpa won't dare," Lin Yi said faintly. "Don't dare?" Yuning looked at Lin Yi with some shock. If it wasn't for her impression that Lin Yi wasn't a person who talked big, she would even think that Lin Yi was talking nonsense. The old master of the hidden house Yu didn't dare to make Lin Yi stay? One must know that the hidden house Yu was the top existence among the hidden houses. Lin Yi could actually compete with them? You'll know when you get there. Lin Yi smiled and stood up, then walked to the camera not far away, turned off the camera, took out the memory card, and put it in Yuning's hand. "This memory card, there is evidence of Zhao Qibing kidnapping you. You can do whatever you want with it."
And
Yuning didn't care about the evidence, but after that, the scene of her and Lin Yi getting along. This video would be a precious memory that Yuning would keep forever. Yuning decided to keep this memory card forever. When she had nothing to do, she would take it out and look at it. In the past, Yuning's biggest regret was that she didn't take a photo with Lin Yi, so she could only use drawing instead. But now, the male and female protagonists in this video were her and Lin Yi. When she missed Lin Yi, she could take it out and look at it. Yuning carefully put away the memory card, for fear of losing it, but she was also afraid that Lin Yi would see her purpose. Her face was a little red, and she didn't dare to look directly at Lin Yi. However, when she saw that Lin Yi didn't care and put away the camera, Yuning breathed a sigh of relief. "Let's go, I'm all packed." In fact, Yuning didn't have much to clean up. She just fixed her messy hair and pulled up the corner of her wrinkled clothes. You're tuning in to the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.